Chapter 61. At 9:30 in the evening, Xiao Jing and Mo walked to the reserved private room. Unsurprisingly, Su Wan had already arrived. She wore a white shirt, and a light blue windbreaker was casually placed on the back of an empty chair. Seeing Xiao Jingmo's figure, Su Wan's eyes brightened and immediately turned her line of sight without leaving a trace. "Jingmo, finished with your work?" And Xiao Jingmo's tone revealed exhaustion. Now, not only did Hao Yue's stock plummet, each partner requested to terminate the contract. Even the bank also wanted to terminate the loan relationship with Hao Yue in advance because of the credibility problem. Of course, what was even worse was the pressure from the government. The murder case of that year was brought up again, and someone was pressuring them from behind. Now, Xiao Leo Yizi had been invited to assist in the investigation. Although nothing would happen to his grandfather, this was undoubtedly one disaster after another for the current Hao Yue. The business world was like this. The day before, you might still be high in the clouds. Today, you will fall into a quagmire and be consigned to eternal damnation. This is for you. Su Wan's words interrupted Xiao Jingmo's train of thought. He lowered his eyes and saw a check with 8 digits. This is all my savings in these few years. Su Wan's expression was especially solemn and serious. I can't help with anything on the headquarters side. This is the only thing I can do for you. Xiao Wan. Xiao Jingmo's gaze congealed and he raised his hand and tightly held Su Wan's hand. Today, Xiao Jingmo experienced the lowest point of his life. Not only those business partners, even his friends in Xiang City Circle began to throw stones at Xiao family when they were down. The only one who extended a helping hand to him was Su Wan. Perhaps, this was the so-called "a friend in need is a friend indeed." Xiao Jingmo suddenly thought of Luo Chu-Chu. The two people also broke up. He thought that according to Luo Chu-Chu's kind and pure personality, she might appear at this time. But he didn't see Luo Chu-Chu. Xiao Jingmo's heart was somewhat strange and complicated. Whether it was his impoverished youth or now when he was at his lowest point, the one who accompanied him was Su Wan. Only Su Wan. Other people could only share his wealth with him. At this moment, Xiao Jingmo suddenly rejoiced. Rejoiced that he still had Su Wan by his side. Rejoiced that he lost and regained this love. Unknowingly, Xiao Jingmo's grip on Su Wan's hand became tighter and tighter. He held her as if he had the whole world. Su Wan just smiled gently and attentively looked at Xiao Jingmo. If Xiao Jingmo was attentive enough, he would have discovered that Su Wan's gentle eyes contained a dense coldness. In the past, the Xiao family still had people who could get through various joints of the connections, but now, they were not willing to take this risk. Xiao Jingmo won. In the past, Xiao family still had people on top who could get through all the joints, but now they weren't willing to take this risk. Coupled with Feng family and other forces hitting them when they were down at this time, it made the entire Hao Yue group in a precarious situation. Hao Yue's shares fell and fell. Although it had already stabilized at a price, that was also the result of someone behind the scenes purchasing a large sum of money. Xiao Jingmo had no way to take back the shares. Hao Yue Group had suffered a serious blow in all aspects. The liquid funds were completely insufficient. The bank loans were still constantly urging for payment. 8 out of 10 projects in hand had been stopped, and the company's employees' wages for this month had not yet been settled. Of company. Of Wan, now of two, of company of Wan to the of Jingmo from Wan today he. Winner takes all. That was all there was to it. From today onwards, Hao Yue Group will change its surname to Feng. Politely shaking hands with Xiao Jingmo, Su Rue raised his eyebrows and whispered with a smile. Congratulations. Xiao Jingmo also smiled at Su Rue and took out 2 envelopes from his bosom. This is my resignation letter and this. Xiao Jingmo took out a red envelope. The bright red color was particularly eye-catching. This is my and Su Wan's wedding invitation. Xiao Jingmo smiled as he watched Su Rue's face distort for a moment. He raised the invitation in his hand. When the time comes, please be sure to attend. After we get married, we will settle down abroad, and we may not have the chance to see you in the future. After saying this, Xiao Jingmo confidently turned around. He believed that even without the Xiao family, he still had the ability to make a comeback. Even if Feng Zimu won against Hao Yue. So what? As long as he still had the ability, he could personally create one new Hao Yue after another. As for Su Wan, there was only one in this world, and now she belonged to him. Gazing at Xiao Jingmo's back as he turned and left, Su Rue firmly grasped the invitation in his hand. In the end, it actually turned into red powder. Marriage? Truly naive. Xiao family fell. Hao Yue changed owners, but fortunately, Xiao Leo Yizi's illness was stabilized. Knowing that Xiao Jingmo and Su Wan decided to get married and then emigrate with him, this made Xiao Leo Yizi very happy. Now, they were not as good as before, but selling off all the fixed assets in their hands was also a considerable income. Xiao Jingmo did not want to leave any regrets. He spent a lot of money to book the best hotel in Xiang City and sent invitations to all the friends he knew. He wanted everyone to know that he, Xiao Jingmo, was not someone who could not afford to lose. Even if he, Xiao Jingmo, did not have Xiao family, did not have Hao Yue, he still had the best fiancé in the world. At the same time, in EVFA's Huaxia headquarters, Su Wan also submitted her resignation letter and sent an invitation to Su Jia and Chen Wei. At this time, the news of Xiao Jingmo wanting to marry Su Wan had already spread to every corner of Xiang City. Everyone was discussing whether Xiao Jingmo was frustrated in the business world but triumphant in love, not loving the country but loving a beauty. So when they just received the invitation, Su Jia and Chen Wei's expressions were the same. The two people politely said congratulations and then inadvertently opened the invitation. After that, Su Jia, it must be that the way I opened the invitation was wrong. Chen Wei, your mother, I knew it was like this. On the day of the wedding, Su Wan wore a pure white wedding dress and sat in the bride's resting room, letting the makeup artist next to her wipe her face here and there. She had been absent-mindedly looking at the mirror. The face in the mirror was not her original appearance. Looking at the woman in the mirror, Su Wan was like looking at a complete stranger. Creak. It was unknown when the resting room's door was pushed open from the outside. The person who came wore a pure black handmade suit, contrasting sharply with the white wedding dress on Su Wan's body. It's almost time to hold the ceremony. The low and pure male voice faintly revealed an excited and joyful tone. If I run away from the wedding now, is it too late? Su Wan indifferently turned around and met Su Rue's bottomless black eyes. What do you think? Su Rue walked a few steps forward and walked behind Su Wan. He raised his arms and gently wrapped her in front of him. Immediately, the entire Xiang City's people will know that you, Su Wan, are Fang Zimu's newly married wife. As he said this, the smile on Su Rue's lips became more and more intense. Right now, the entire hotel had been surrounded by the various media and TV stations that Su Rue had invited. Not only did he want the entire Xiang City to know that this woman was his wife, he also wanted Xiao Jingmo to become the laughingstock of the entire Xiang City. Looking at Su Rue's fox-like smile in the mirror, Su Wan did not open her mouth to refute anything. She actually made this decision early on. On the day of the wedding, she wanted Xiao Jingmo to truly taste the feeling of having nothing and living a life worse than death at this time. In the hotel lobby, many guests were still whispering. In the same hotel, at the same time, even the same bride. The only two things that were different were the wedding lobby and the groom. When they received Fang family's invitation at the entrance of the hotel, they all felt that it was inconceivable, but most people still chose to go to the 5th floor of the hotel, which was Fang family's wedding venue. When the wedding ceremony officially began, looking at the newly married couple smiling sweetly on the red carpet, everyone couldn't help but keep quiet. There were countless flashes and shutters constantly interlacing. This would be the most grand and most topical wedding in Xiang City this year. Xiao Wan. When Xiao Jingmo stumbled to the wedding venue, Su Wan and Su Rue were exchanging wedding rings. Looking at the two people who stood together like a pair of jade, Xiao Jingmo's eyes reddened and his face carried an incredulous expression. Xiao Wan, what's going on here? Is it Fang Zimu who threatened you? Xiao family's wedding venue was downstairs, and there were very few guests. An hour ago, Xiao Jingmo couldn't get through to Su Wan's cell phone. But because Su Wan had sent him a message, telling him not to worry and to wait patiently, Xiao Jingmo didn't feel that anything was wrong. Until the time of the wedding ceremony was getting closer and closer, some of the guests who came to the wedding banquet finally couldn't bear it and handed Fong family's invitation to Xiao Jingmo's hands. The moment Xiao Jingmo saw the invitation, his first feeling was that he didn't believe it, and the second thought was that Suwan was threatened by Fong Zimu or was deceived by him. That was why he rushed over without a care in the world. The eyes of the media that were specially invited by Su Rue all shone as they looked at the latest development of the matter. They couldn't wait to rush forward and give Xiao Jingmo a character interview. Xiao Jingmo, don't think too highly of yourself. Su Rue subconsciously opened his mouth when he heard Xiao Jingmo's words. He took a step forward and wanted to protect Su Wan behind him, but Su Wan lightly crossed Su Rue's body. Carrying the long wedding dress, she walked step by step to the front of Xiao Jingmo. Xiao Jingmo, I voluntarily married Fong Zimu because I love him. No, impossible. Xiao Jingmo looked at Su Wan in disbelief. He hurriedly raised his hand to grab Su Wan's wrist, but Su Wan quickly dodged it. Why is it impossible? He could get hit by a car for me. He could die for me. What can you do for me? Force my father to go bankrupt and almost die in the hospital? Or when I was wholeheartedly thinking about you, you kissed me with other women. Xiao Jingmo, I hate you. Do you know that? Suwan took another step forward and stared intently at Xiao Jingmo's eyes. At that time, I was young and ignorant, so I liked you. Now, I've already woken up. You, Xiao Jingmo, what do you have? Without Xiao family, you're nothing. You're not even as good as me, a woman. You can't compare to Fong Zimu in anything. Therefore, I love him. I originally don't love you. Su Wan and Su Rue's wedding was finally completed on time. Xiao Jingmo, who came to make a scene, finally left in a hurry because Xiao Leo Yizi's old illness relapsed. When he left, his entire face was distorted. Su Wan knew that Xiao Jingmo had always been proud and selfish. He could allow himself to find a substitute to appease his lonely body and mind, but he wouldn't allow others to do anything that would let him down. The news of the wedding was quickly reported in all major media. 3 days after Su Wan and Su Rue's wedding, Xiao Leo Yizi's old illness relapsed and he died in the hospital. And Xiao Jingmo took the remaining savings in his hands and disappeared from the sight of Xiang City's people. He wanted to take that money and go to a new city to stage a comeback. Wait until the day he returned to his hometown in glory, and then settle the accounts with Fong Zimu and Su Wan. After Xiao Jingmo disappeared, Fong family became the unrivaled overlord of Xiang City. Su Rue quickly arranged a new engagement for Fong Ziwan. Although Fong Ziwan couldn't let go of Xiao Jingmo, under Su Rue's supervision, Fong Ziwan had no choice but to gradually compromise. Su Wan was at ease as Fong family's nominal mistress. Every day, there would still be people who would report Xiao Jingmo's news to her on time. Although Xiao Jingmo, who was in a foreign land, had a startup capital, his current business wasn't easy to do. Moreover, he was an outsider. In the eyes of the local businesses, he was even more of an eyesore. In the past, he was an all-powerful person in the business world. But now, he had a body full of skills but couldn't get the opportunity that he should have. With great difficulty, Xiao Jingmo managed to build a connection in Yun City. He thought that he could gain a firm foothold and from then on, he could display his skills. Who knew that the whole thing was a trap that had long been set up? When Xiao Jingmo was swindled penniless and wandered on the streets, he remembered Luo Chu-Chu's kindness. In fact, Luo Chu-Chu was really a good girl. Just that, he didn't know where she was right now. Some people were always greedy and didn't know how to cherish it. Every time, they had to wait until they lost it. Only then would they remember it and regret it. The rarest thing in the world was a single-minded sincerity. Su Wan obtained Xiao Jingmo's latest situation. She tried to contact the headquarters and got an affirmative reply that the mission was completed. So, it was time to leave. Su Wan didn't bid farewell to Su Rue. After contacting the headquarters to confirm her exit from the mission world, Su Wan quietly left Fong family by herself. At night, Su Rue returned to his bedroom and faced an empty room. The two people's wedding photo was still hanging on the bedside. Su Rue stared blankly at the photo. From marriage until now, they had been living separately. He liked her and wanted to be with her, but he would never force her. Su Rue thought that he would marry Su Wan one day. That would be a real marriage. In the lost time-space with the real her, forever together. Lost time-space Plane Destroyer Headquarters. Su-won left the execution room and returned to her residence. She habitually opened her communicator to check the mission points. Seeing the pitifully few mission points, Su-won frowned. She opened the mission file that she had just finished sorting out and her eyes stayed on the contents inside. Xiao Jingmo wandered the streets and was hit by a speeding truck and became a vegetable. Because his identity was unknown, he was finally sent to a local welfare sanatorium. And Luo Chu-Chu, who was working in that sanatorium at that time, reunited with Xiao Jingmo. As for why Luo Chu-Chu left Xiang City and appeared in Yun City, Su-won continued to look down and found out that everything was Su Rui's doing. He promised himself that he would not hurt Luo Chu-Chu, but he made Luo Chu-Chu's family very miserable. And in order to take care of her family, in order to repay the huge debt owed by her family, Luo Chu-Chu and Su Rui signed a contract similar to a slave contract, and her main task was to take care of Xiao Jingmo in the sanatorium who would never wake up again for a lifetime. So in this mission world, although she became Xiao Jingmo's cannon fodder, Su Rui still forcibly tied Luo Chu-Chu and Xiao Jingmo's lives together. And according to the rules of the lost time-space, both her and Su Rui's missions were successful. The mission points of the same world were divided into two, so it was naturally pitiful. Su-won sighed. Really unlucky, ah. She unwillingly pressed the button a few more times. Su-won saw the newly refreshed mission list and did not hesitate to accept another mission. At the same time, Plane Repairer Headquarters. Su Rui walked out of the execution room with an indifference that kept people 1,000 miles away. Along the way, all the people in the same department subconsciously avoided Su Rui. Who didn't know that this guy was the new S-rank dangerous newcomer? It was said that all the mission targets he accepted, without exception, all had miserable endings. This kind of dangerous person with the temperament of an ultimate boss, it was better for us mortals to stay away from him. Su Rui was completely unaware of everyone's rejection or fear. He strolled near the mission hall and saw Chi Yu and Yun Sheng arguing about something. Didn't Suji warn you again and again? Why are you so inflexible? Yun Sheng's voice carried a trace of exasperation. Everyone said that he and Chi Yu were sworn enemies, but in Su Rui's view, these two people were very good friends. They were the kind of friends who competed with each other but could entrust their backs to each other. At this time, when Chi Yu heard Yun Sheng's words, he still disapproved. I've already spent the points and bought the location tracking device. Wouldn't it be a pity to give up now? At this time, the tracking device in Chi Yu's hand suddenly lit up with a red light. Coming. She actually entered the mission world so quickly? The expression on Chi Yu's face was somewhat excited. He checked his location tracking device while talking to himself. Su-won, this time I won't lose to you again. Chi Yu hadn't finished speaking when he froze in place. His eyes widened as he watched his newly bought location tracking device being snatched away by another person. What kind of situation is this? Chi Yu angrily raised his head and met Su Rui's sharp and deep gaze. I want this thing. I'll transfer the points to you in a while. Indifferently leaving behind a sentence, Su Rui already turned and left while Yun Sheng and Chi Yu were still in a daze. Chi Yu? What does he mean? Do I lack those points? Yun Sheng. You don't lack points, you're stupid. Chi Yu. Yun Sheng. Stop. I promise I won't beat you to death. Su Rui, who quickly returned to his room, had already begun to search for the mission world that was similar to Su Wan's in his communication device. If it wasn't for Chi Yu, Su Rui still wouldn't have known that he could use points to exchange for this kind of location tracking device in the headquarters shopping mall. This kind of location tracking device could only be used to track the current whereabouts of mission personnel from other departments. It was a one-time consumable item, but it was very useful. Holographic online game? When Su Rui found the mission world, he deeply wrinkled his brows for the first time. Chapter 62. In the lush forest, unknown wildflowers bloomed under the trees. Occasionally, there would be a cool breeze blowing, birds singing, and the fragrance of flowers. Su-won opened her eyes and felt that she was sitting under a big tree. This tree was the same as the other trees in the forest. She couldn't name it, but it grew particularly lush. There was still a trace of sore and numb pain on her waist. Su-won lowered her eyes and saw that the pure white robe was stained with a little bit of bright red. Is it blood? No, that's not right. There's no smell of blood. This is. Suwon's thoughts moved and a transparent character panel immediately appeared in front of her ID. Su Changwan Yue gender. Female profession. Priest level. 11 affiliated guild. None good and evil points. 867. This was the world of the world's first holographic online game launched by TX Company, Lingshin, and Suwon was currently in the game. This game was the world's most technologically advanced online game. Through the game cabin, it could directly connect to a person's brainwaves. This was similar to when Suwon was performing a task in the execution cabin. This game could connect to a person's soul and let this person's potential be fully displayed here. Looking at her character level, Suwon was somewhat speechless. The novice level in this game world was level 10. She had now been killed to level 11. The misery of the situation could be seen from this. Immediately, Suwon opened her equipment panel again. As Huasha's 4th district's most glorious violent priest, at this time, Suwon was only wearing the most tattered novice priest uniform. Lingshin was a game that directly connected to a person's spiritual consciousness, so it didn't have the character attributes of ordinary online games such as wisdom, strength, and so on. When each player first logs into the game, the highly intelligent game system will automatically match your basic attributes according to your physical fitness. These attributes will affect your operating awareness, but will not affect the character's level and attack power. In Lingshin, the attack power of each character depended on the skills and equipment on their body. The higher the skills and the better the equipment, the higher the character's attack power, and these 2 points were all based on the character's level. It can be said that this was a world where the weak are prey to the strong. Because most of the game resources were monopolized by the big guilds, the survival space of ordinary casual players was very small. Suwon let out a long breath and slowly stood up. At this time, the novice priest robe on her body was already full of dust and blood stains. It was very obvious that just now, she had just escaped a new round of pursuit. This was really a case of a tiger being bullied by a dog. In this virtual world, all her previous advantages were gone. She was now facing a very bad situation. Suwon was sighing inwardly. Suddenly, a sudden burst of cold wind hit her. Suwon, who had keen senses, suddenly dodged and waved the priest's staff in her hand. She directly threw out a light bullet. The white ball of light hit the empty space in front of her. There was a ripple in the air, and an assassin wearing a black leather armor appeared. At the same time, the number -80 floated above his head. You actually dodged it. The assassin looked at Suwon in surprise. He didn't think that she could dodge his backstab. Suwon looked at the acquaintance in front of her without any pause. Light bullets were thrown at the other party's body as if they were free. 80, -80, -80, -80. The number of bright red words continuously floated above the assassin's head, but he was calm and unruffled in the midst of the chaos. It didn't hurt nor itch. This game Lingshin actually had a real sense of pain, but the highest was only 15% of the feeling in reality. The lowest could still be adjusted to 5%. It was very clear that the damage caused by Suwon's attack to the other party was simply a drop in the bucket. There was no feeling at all. Suwon was also speechless about the attack power of her novice light bullet. Taking advantage of the other party not making any movements, Suwon once again threw out a light bullet. After that, she hurriedly used a novice speed increase on herself, wanting to escape without a trace. Right at this time, a huge ball of fire suddenly shrouded down from midair and directly fell on Suwon's body. This was a fire mage's firelight spell. The blazing fire instantly enveloped Suwon's entire body. 1888 instant kill. When Suwon opened her eyes again, she was already at the novice village's resurrection point. Casually checking her current attributes, Suwon's face immediately darkened. She was killed back to level 10 again. Level 10 was the novice level in Lingshin. Novice players at level 10 were not allowed to PK. They would not lose experience and could not be transported to other cities. Right now, it was already 3 months after the start of the game. There were still new people coming and going in the novice village, but it was already pitifully few. Suwon walked on the rundown street of the novice village, thinking about the main storyline of this mission world. The main storyline of this world happened in Lingshin, this holographic online game. The male lead, Yi Tian, was a standard nouveau riche, tall, rich, and handsome. He loved online games since he was young. 5 years ago, he established Shirtion Guild and he became the guild leader. His ID was D. Shirtion. When Lingshan was in beta, all members of Shirtion Guild participated in the beta test. After the open beta, Yition led his own guild to enter Huaxia's 4 districts and became the overlord of the 4 districts. It was worth mentioning that Su Wan was not only the vice leader of Shirtion Guild, but also Yition's wife. In the world of online games, the ratio of men and women had always been unbalanced. And to be like Su Wan, who always played games, had good PK skills, and was also young and beautiful, it was really rare. So when she just joined Shirtion Guild 5 years ago, Su Wan became the target of everyone's pursuit. And at the first offline gathering of the guild, Su Wan fell in love with the handsome Yition at first sight. Later on, things happened very naturally. One was affectionate, and one was interested. Soon, the 2 people became a couple in the game. In the following few years, every time the game was changed, Su Chengwan Yu and Di Shirtion were the model couple in everyone's eyes. Until Lingshan's open beta, when the server just opened, all of Lingshan's systems were not all opened at once. This included the very popular marriage system. After the server opened, Su Wan was the same as before. She led the brothers of Shirtion to level up at the fastest speed and occupied some of the main monster leveling points. Although Su Wan's identity was the vice leader, everyone privately called her the leader's wife. Su Wan also kept waiting for the marriage system to open and marry Yition again in the game. But the direction of the plot this time was destined to disappoint Su Wan. Although Yition's time in the game was less than Su Wan's, his level had always been the highest in the whole district. In the entire Huaxia's 4 districts, as long as Di Shirtion, this swordsman, appeared, the rest of the people would all retreat and flee. This kind of lonely feeling of an expert made Yition feel very bored. And when he was extremely bored, he accidentally saw a level 10 smurf in a level 50 monster dense area. That smurf was called Hui Mao Yishao. She wore a tattered beginner priest robe and had a neat ponytail. She looked like a very young and naive, silly little girl. Hui Mao Yishao was naturally the female protagonist of this mission world. She was a game noob and also had a poor sense of direction. She just left the beginner village, and because she couldn't automatically transfer to the main city, she had to run to the map. As a result, she didn't pay attention and ran to the wrong map. Fortunately, the monsters in this area were all passive attacks, but being surrounded by a large group of very terrifying tall red-letter monsters, it also made Hui Mao Yishao feel goosebumps in her heart. And at this time, Hui Mao Yishao saw Di Shirtion in the middle of the large group of monsters, wearing a set of glittering golden light. At first, this girl treated him as a big wild boss, watching and posing. Finally, when Di Shirtion opened his mouth to talk to her, Hui Mao Yishao immediately became stupefied. Just like this, Yition and Hui Mao Yishao hooked up. No, it was a fated encounter. Then, there were all kinds of teasing and all kinds of help. Finally, our family's Shirtion Guild's leader directly pulled Hui Mao Yishao into the guild and opened up all kinds of privileges to her. Because Yishao's entire person looked silly and adorable, seeing everyone and calling Big Brother, the other backbones in the guild liked her very much. Of course, Su Wan was an exception. A woman's intuition had always been accurate. Su Wan keenly felt Yition's interest and specialness towards Hui Mao Yishao. This made her feel very uncomfortable in her heart. Hui Mao Yishao was a noob in the game. Not only did she not know anything, she also often caused trouble for the guild. Su Wan brought people to clean up her mess again, and after returning, she still had to appease the other people in the guild. And Yition? No matter what Hui Mao Yishao did, he felt that it was very pleasing to the eye and liked it very much. Sure enough, being favored is always the happiest. Later, Yition went from bad to worse, openly showing affection to Hui Mao Yishao in the guild. This made Su Wan lose a lot of face. She contacted Yition in reality, hoping that he would give her an explanation. As a result, Yition told her, they used to get married in the game just for fun, it didn't count. He also never did anything intimate to her, so they were never a couple. That night, Su Wan stayed in the room alone and cried until midnight. She felt very uncomfortable if Yition didn't treat her as his girlfriend, Then every time when people called her sister-in-law in offline gatherings, why didn't he explain? Everyone played late at night and stayed overnight in the hotel. They were arranged to be in the same room. Why did he tacitly agree? Even if nothing happened between them, this kind of thing had happened more than once. What would the other people in the guild think? In the past, there was even a person in Shirtian Guild who had always been secretly in love with Suwon and even confessed to her in private. As a result, because of Yi Tian's existence, Suwon rejected him. That person also tore off all pretenses of cordiality with Yi Tian in the game. In the end, he left Shirtian Guild and established himself from then on. Scenes from the past, Suwon felt that she was deceived by Yi Tian. He used ambiguity as a net to stick to her and her heart, but in the next moment, he was showing his true love to another woman. Suwon hated Yi Tian and hated Hui Mao Yishao even more. Other people all said how innocent Yishao Mimi was, how adorably silly and cute. Suwon only felt that Hui Mao Yishao was very hypocritical. She clearly knew that Suwon and Yi Tian were a publicly recognized couple. No one in the guild dared to be too close to Yi Tian in front of Suwon, but Hui Mao Yishao relied on the so-called adorably silly she called Tian Gij, all day long, and her words were full of intimacy. Suwon didn't like this kind of seemingly silly and sweet woman, but in fact, she actually did some things to break up other people and then had an innocent face. Thinking back to the beginning, she had set her sights on Yi Tian. No matter how outstanding and infatuated the other man was, she was unmoved. At that time, as long as Suwon was willing to be a bit more ambiguous, or even slightly give that man a glimmer of hope, she wouldn't be reduced to this state right now, right? That's right. The man who had always been secretly in love with her was the current leader of the second largest guild in Huaxia District 4, Wolfsfang, Lone Wolf. After breaking off relations with Yi Tian that year, Lone Wolf founded the Wolfsfang Guild and had been going against Shirtian. In the countless fights between the two large guilds, Suwon also put in a lot of effort. There was even one time, in a particularly important guild war, she also used a scheme to bring people to personally take care of Lone Wolf. This made Lone Wolf's love for her turn into hatred. From then on, the two people became enemies that wouldn't rest until one of them was dead. Of course, Suwon never regretted falling out with Lone Wolf and becoming enemies. But what made her most unbearable was that after she left Shirtian, Lone Wolf also sent people to kill her. And the reason for killing her was actually also because of Hui Mao Yishao. Suwon only felt a mouthful of old blood welling up, wanting to vomit but unable to spit it out. This is life. The life of a cannon fodder and the female lead's life. There simply wasn't too much of a difference, okay? First chapter, 3,500 words. Because this is not a professional online game novel, so if there are any bugs in this volume, please ignore it. Chapter 63. After the original owner, Suwon, was broken up, she went online the next day and left Shirtian Guild and joined Huaxia District 4's third guild, Xiaoyao Pavilion. On that day, Suwon brought a team of Xiaoyao Pavilion's elite team to kill Hui Mao Yishao, who had just risen to level 45 in the wild. This kind of situation where rival guilds killed each other was the most common in Lingshan, and even in major PK online games. Suwon just couldn't swallow that anger, and must personally kill Hui Mao Yishao to vent her anger. But what she didn't expect was that her action actually made Yi Tian truly fly into a rage for a beauty. On that night, Shirtian Guild declared war on Xiaoyao Pavilion. Xiaoyao Pavilion's leader, Shirley Hua Mei, was a female fire mage. She and Suwon were also online friends who had known each other for many years. For the friendship between the two people, Shirley Hua Mei did not compromise with Shirtian. The final result was naturally being killed miserably by Shirtian Guild and losing the guild stronghold that they had always occupied. Xiaoyao Pavilion, who lost their stronghold, suddenly fell from the third place in the district to outside the top 10. Even so, Yi Tian still didn't vent his hatred. He said in the World Channel that as long as Su Chengwanyu was still in Xiaoyao Pavilion, he would fight to the death with Xiaoyao Pavilion for a day. A man who would seek revenge for the smallest grievance to this point, to put it nicely, was an overbearing CEO who took revenge for his little goblin. To put it bluntly, he was a narrow-minded bastard who only knew how to bully women. Regardless of whether Yi Tian liked Suwon or not, At least Suwon sincerely liked him for 5 years. For 5 years, she wholeheartedly did it for him and never did anything to let him down. He did this. Was he really a man of character? Surely Hua Mei had a fiery temper. Hearing Yi Tian's heroic words, this girl actually really planned to fight to the death with Yi Tian. And Suwon didn't want to implicate Hua Mei, so she took the initiative to leave the guild. Suwon, whose heart was broken by Yi Tian, wandered alone through the game map, leaving her and Yi Tian's footprints one after another in the lover's holy land. When she passed by the wishing tree map, Suwon saw Hui Maui Xiao and Lone Wolf talking and laughing together. At this moment, new hatred and old hatred welled up in Suwon's heart. She almost didn't think and used a big move, killing Hui Maui Xiao again. After well, there was no after. At this time, Suwon gloomily looked at the novice priest staff in her hand. She killed Hui Maui Xiao twice. Yi Tian and Lone Wolf issued a kill order in the whole server. They were determined to kill her until she deleted her account and didn't play anymore. Lingshin, as the only holographic online game in the world, has now occupied 80% of the global online game industry. Almost everyone is playing Lingshin. Moreover, according to the rules of Lingshin, each legal citizen can only have one account. Once registered, unless you delete the account and never log in, otherwise, you can't change your profession and ID. You can't even create your own alternate account. When Suwon entered the mission, it was already the 5th time the original Suwon was killed back to the novice village. The first time she was killed to level 10, she dropped a lot of top-quality equipment. At that time, Suwon was not reconciled. She leveled in the wild overnight. As a result, because she was too loyal to Yi Tian when she was in Shitian, she offended too many guilds and unaffiliated smurfs, causing her to automatically attract hatred wherever she went. Just like that, she resisted again and again and was killed back to the newbie village. In this virtual world, level is especially important. Without the corresponding level, you can't wear good equipment and can't use the corresponding high-level skills. The original Suwon had the most powerful priest skills in the whole district, but at this time, she could only incomparably sullenly shrink in the novice village. If Suwon didn't enter the mission at this time, perhaps the original Suwon would be like the original plot, deleting the account and going offline at this time. After all, she was only canon fodder #1 with the title of Yi Tian's ex-girlfriend, and was also the #1 canon fodder love rival that the female lead, Hui Maui Xiao, conquered. After this, Lingshin will be updated and a brand new boss instance will be opened. The competition between the major guilds will only enter a white-hot stage at this time, and after the instance competition, the system will open the cross-regional channel. The whole of Huaxia has a total of 8 regions. After the cross-regional channel is opened, the cross-regional battles of the 8 major war zones will also start. At that time, the real geniuses will come forth in large numbers. And in this game world where elites gather, Hui Maui Xiao is like opening the invincible Mary Sue halo. Wherever she goes, the Mary Sue halo shines on the earth, automatically attracting the love and pursuit of various local tycoons. From then on, the battles of the 8 major war zones will simply become a battle for the female lead. Thinking about it makes one drunk. Suwon didn't continue to think about the future plot. She inquired about the inventory in her warehouse at the novice village's warehouse manager. Her previous equipment was all gone, and her level also dropped to level 10. Fortunately, the life skills she learned before were still there, and her warehouse also had a large number of various ores and fabrics that she had never used before. Looking at her current possessions, Suwon pondered for a while and simply closed her eyes to exit the game. Waking up from the game connection cabin, Suwon discovered that it was already 5:00 in the afternoon in the real world. She went to the bedside and turned on her computer to inquire about Lingshin's official website. Sure enough, the official website had already released the latest news. After a week, the first large-scale system update after the open beta will be carried out. After that, a brand new boss instance will be launched. In this instance, not only will it produce the latest sets, but it will also produce several kinds of special equipment materials. And high-level materials and sets have always been the things that the major guilds must fight over, and it is also the foundation of the major guilds. Suwon knows that after the system update, whether it is Yi Tian or Lone Wolf, they will be entangled in the new instance. At that time, they won't have time to care about her. This is her only chance to turn things around. Suwon decided to grasp this opportunity. She wants to temporarily leave the game for a week, creating the illusion that she has already left the game, so that no one will continue to pay attention to her. And after a week, she will log in again and find someone to bring her to level. As for who that person is, Suwon also has the best candidate. When Suwon went offline to formulate a strategic goal, in a private villa in another city, Su-Rue expressionlessly exited from the game connection cabin. Who can tell him, in the end, what the hell is the so-called ice mage? What he wants is a swordsman. Do you understand a swordsman? Young master. Seeing Suwon's unkind complexion, the middle-aged housekeeper who has been guarding next to the connection cabin looked at him somewhat worriedly. Do you want to replenish some nutrient solution? Right now, the housekeeper uncle was deeply worried about his family's young master's body. With the young master's thin and weak physique, he could only choose the mage profession in Lingshan. Fortunately, the Situ family lacked everything but money, so after spending a lot of money to build it, the young master's mage character Night Rain has already become Huaxia's 6th district's #1 ice mage. However, the young master still seems to be dissatisfied. He desperately trained and spent most of his time in the game every day. Now that the server has been open for only 3 months, the average level of everyone in the game is 50, and his family's young master's level is already 66, the first in the whole district. At this moment, hearing the housekeeper uncle's words, Suwon just shook his head. He can feel his body full of energy. After all, in the lost time space, every mission enforcer can use the points to exchange for a golden finger to carry around in the mission world. This golden finger is not too thick, but it's better than nothing. Just like how Suwon's cheat allowed her to use her real name in every world, Su-Rue chose to use his original body in every world. This is also a useless choice for others, but for Suwon, it's the biggest golden finger. The original Situyi wholeheartedly wanted to be a knight assassin, but his body was weak and sickly, his spiritual power was weak, and the assassin profession also required superb sensitivity and reaction. Situyi simply could not do it. As for warriors and swordsmen, a weak chicken young master who can't even lift a heavy sword. You better not have too much hope for him. Therefore, Situyi chose a mage, which is the same as a priest, a long-range magic attack profession that doesn't require much physical strength. And now, everything is about to change with Suwon's arrival. Suwon lowered his eyes and thought of his character attributes in the game ID. Night Rain gender, male profession, mage level, 66 affiliated guild, eternal night good and evil value. 0. The previous Situyi was not a belligerent. He only thought about raising his level. So in the 3 months since the server opened, he actually didn't kill a single person. Of course, this also stemmed from the fact that the other elders of the Eternal Night Guild protected their noble and weak president too thoroughly. I'm going to rest. Call me at 8 p.m. sharp. In his heart, he was still recalling the mission plot of this world. Thinking that he still had to wait at least a month before his character could cross over to another district, Suwon's heart was a bit irritated. He knew that Suwon was in the 4th district, and her current situation was very bad. However, Suwon believed that even if the situation was worse, Suwon would definitely be able to pull through. Suwon, you just wait for me. All the people who chased after you, I will kill them until they delete their accounts and don't play anymore. No, not only that, even if they go offline, I will also use the power of the Situ family to make them unable to live in reality. Don't be afraid of a hoodlum with culture, just be afraid of a mage who knows martial arts. The most violent mage in the history of Lingshan is about to be born. What is called a real humanoid big boss. Please look at our family's General Su. What is the thickest and biggest golden thigh in the entire server? Please look at our family's General Su. Suwon, little darling, quickly come to my bowl. Our family's General Su dotes on you. Chapter 64. After leaving the game world for 3 days, Suwon hadn't been idle these days. She first withdrew all her savings from the bank and opened an account at the exchange to start a short-term investment. After that, Suwon resigned from her original job and then sent a job application letter to a game studio through an email. The rest of the free time, Suwon used it all for leisure and relaxation. She didn't have many friends in reality. Because everyone was busy with work, they rarely came in contact. But her friend in the game, Shirley Hua Mei, saw that Su-won had not been online. She finally couldn't help but call Su-won and ask about her recent situation. Because the two people happened to be in the same city, Su-won asked her to meet at a coffee shop. Shirley Hua Mei's name was Su-hua. She was not tall like in the game, but she was particularly spirited. She was also very enthusiastic and righteous. Because the two people met in the game, they still habitually called each other's game ID. Won you won't really stop playing, right? After asking for a cup of Blue Mountain, Su-hua looked at Su-won across from her with some regret. She was also a fanatical online game enthusiast. In these years, the only game netizen who made her admire and took the initiative to make friends was only Su-won. Although Su-hua was not in Shirtion Guild, they went through a lot of games together in the past few years. What Su-won paid for Shirtion, Su-hua was very clear. Now that Yi-tion said that he didn't want her anymore. This made Su-hua feel extremely angry from the bottom of her heart. Hua Mei, I won't quit. Su-won unhurriedly drank a mouthful of coffee, then raised her eyes and looked at Su-hua seriously. I just want to have a good rest these days. After the game updates next Tuesday, I will go online. Is that so? Hearing Su-won's words, Su-hua's eyes lit up. As the leader of a guild, Su-hua was naturally very concerned about the new version of the game update. She knew that the new instance would make the major guilds spend a lot of energy. Almost in an instant, Su-hua became aware of Su-won's thoughts. Won you, you're smart to do this. How about this? After you go online, join Xiaoyao Pavilion and I'll bring you to level. No need. Su-won indifferently rejected Su-hua's good intentions. Hua Mei, your guild has fallen behind a lot. You don't have to worry about me anymore. I've already found people to help me. They will help me level. Oh. Su-hua froze for a moment because in the 4th district, not many people dared to offend Di Shirtion and Du Lang so brazenly like her. Who was the person Su-won was talking about? At this time, in the center of another city, in the Hurricane online game studio, a cold-looking man was staring blankly at an email in his mailbox. This was a cover letter, a very special cover letter. The person who wrote the letter was the most popular figure in District 4, Su Chengwan-yu. The man was very familiar with this ID. In the past few years, he had a lot of dealings with Shirtion Guild, and Su Chengwan-yu was Shirtion's former vice president. From dominating the entire server's guild's vice guild leader to the street rat that everyone in the game wanted to beat up. Don't say that Su Chengwan-yu was a woman, even if she was a big man. She's afraid that right now, she wouldn't have any lofty aspirations. But the man moved his fingers and slid the mouse to the end of the cover letter. There was even a bank account number and an encrypted password symbol attached to it. After easily cracking the password, the man used his personal computer to log into that bank account. Seeing the balance inside, the man subconsciously narrowed his eyes. What a good Su Chengwan you are. After knowing her for so long, this was really the first time he had a whole new level of respect for her. A week's time passed. With the update of the new version, the game world once again ushered in the same kind of bustling scene as when the beta test was in full swing. After a week, Su-won logged into the game again. She was still in the novice village. She went out of the village entrance with ease and went to the west side of the village to fight monsters. Rising from level 10 to 11 didn't require too much experience. After Su-won used her beginner light bullet technique to kill dozens of cute little white rabbits, her whole body flashed with white light and her character leveled up. After leveling up, Su-won didn't stay in the same place. She continued to go deep into the next map, Yangchuan Plain. This was a leveling area around level 13. It was the most suitable place for Su-won to level up now. This kind of novice leveling map already had very few people passing by. Su-won fighting monsters from a distance was especially easy. In less than an hour, Su-won rose to level 14. Level 15 was a checkpoint. To level up to level 15, she must go to the outskirts of Longqing to fight level 15 monsters. Longqing was currently the largest main city in Lingshan. Every character had the qualifications to enter the city after reaching level 15. After leaving their name card at the Longqing courier station, they could use the city return scroll to teleport back to Longqing from any place. Also, if you use a locator, You can also set your resurrection point at the center of Longqing. Suwon hesitated at the entrance of the map on the outskirts of Longqing. In a flash, she entered the map entrance. When she opened her eyes again, what entered her eyes was no longer a plain, but a lush and verdant forest. Here was the place where she was killed last time. Remembering the memory of the original owner being killed every time, she rose to level 15. Suwon's expression became a bit more dignified. She carefully observed everything around her. Fortunately, at this time, most people were watching the excitement at the entrance of the new instance. Right now, there were only pure noobs fighting monsters in the outskirts of Longqing, and those noobs were obviously not familiar with Su Chengwanyu, this famous ID. It seems that she didn't wait in vain this week. Suwon found a place with a lot of monsters and began to level alone. Fighting monsters and leveling was actually a very boring thing. Moreover, the tree demons and lantern monsters in the outskirts of Longqing were simply far from those cute monsters in the novice village. Fortunately, Suwon wasn't an ordinary girl. She didn't feel anything towards these sinister monsters. Instead, a young girl's panicked voice could be heard from time to time from a leveling team not far away. Ayaya. It's coming. So scary. Woo woo woo. This monster's death is really too unsightly. Suwon heard that voice and just casually glanced at it. She saw that the 3 people in the novice team were all 15 or 16 years old students and understood. Although that girl's voice was a bit noisy, Suwon didn't feel disgusted. Girls at this age should be this innocent and a little cute. Compared to Hui Maui Xiao, that kind of person who was clearly in her 20s but still had a childish face, there was really a big difference. The world is so chaotic. Who are you pretending to be pure for? Yeah. Why is there a red circle under its feet? It was still that crisp female voice. This time, her tone was full of amazement. This is called a small boss in the wild. The teammate on the side quickly answered her doubts. Suwon's thoughts were interrupted by the sound of their conversation. She came back to her senses and sure enough, she saw a tree demon boss stepping on a circle of light being surrounded by those 3 newcomers. It was clearly their first time encountering a boss in the wild. The 3 people were flustered. Because their levels weren't high and the equipment on their bodies wasn't good, the warrior captain in the team was quickly hit by the boss to half of his HP. Xiao Wu, quickly heal your brother. The male mage called Binghua Walker surrounded the boss and desperately released small ice arrows from a distance while reminding the female priest on the side. The target of his words was precisely the girl who just spoke the most. Her ID was Wu Baobao. Hearing Binghua Walker's words, Wu Baobao hurriedly waved her priest's staff. She was just about to release a skill when that tree demon boss suddenly extended countless branches and released a group attack. Yeah, my HP dropped. Wu Baobao was scared badly. She retreated a few steps in a panic. Seeing that her HP had dropped, she immediately subconsciously added HP to herself. And at this time, the warrior on the side only had a trace of HP left. If the warrior, this MT, fell, then the other 2 people could really directly commit suicide and return to the city. It was at this time that the warrior's body was suddenly bathed in a layer of faint fluorescent light. Then a series of numbers floated above his head, +100, +100, +100. Priest's healing skill. Wu Baobao and Binghua Walker subconsciously turned their heads and saw a young woman wearing a priest robe standing behind them with indifferent brows. Don't look at me. Continue to fight monsters. Oh. Binghua Walker immediately turned around and continued to fight monsters, while Wu Baobao's eyes sparkled as she stared at the ID on top of this priest's head that suddenly appeared, Su Chengwanyu. Ah. Wu Baobao felt that she couldn't calm down anymore. It's Su Chengwanyu. It's really Su Chengwanyu. Idle Darren. I finally saw a living one today. Chapter 65. With Suwon's participation, the original 3-person team's process of fighting the boss became very smooth. When the tree demon boss was ground to the last trace of HP, a dialogue suddenly popped up in front of Suwon. Windless invited you to join his team. Do you want to join? Windless was that warrior's ID. He had never said a word. He was clearly a young and tender youth, but he was surprisingly calm. Berserker, Windless. Information about this person flashed through Suwon's mind. In the original plot, Windlass had also made great contributions to the entire Huaxia region on the battlefield. He was a very powerful berserker. Only, in the original plot, he always acted alone and did not join any guild. Nor did he join any studio or team. This kind of person was worth making friends with. Suwon clicked yes. After Suwon joined the team, that small wild boss's HP was also empty. Its huge body fell to the ground, splashing up a cloud of dust. Then, the ground was covered with spoils of war. In addition to the most common silver coins and medicine, there were also 3 pieces of equipment: a level 15 assassin's blue armor, a level 18 blue warrior's shield, and the last piece was a mage's gauntlet. It was actually a high-quality purple equipment. This kind of drop rate was already quite good. Suwon felt that their team's character was still quite good. Wow, purple equipment. Binghua Walker, who was at the side, didn't care and immediately picked up the purple equipment and put it into his bag. Because the lowest level of purple equipment was level 20, he, who had just reached level 15, simply couldn't wear it. Windlass seemed to have already gotten used to his casual attitude. He turned around and picked up the warrior's shield and then looked at Suwon. "Wan Yu, you can't use any of these equipment. I'll take them all and give you the equivalent gold coins. How about it?" In Lingshan World, 1,000 silver coins were equal to 1 gold coin. Now, the gold coins in the game and the currency in the real world were exchanged for 10 gold coins equal to 1 yuan. In the future, along with the gradual improvement of the game system, the entire Lingshan world will truly become humanity's second world. The gold coins here are not only more valuable than the currency in the real world, even the real estate and shops in Lingshan world will be more popular and expensive than the real world. When Suwon heard Windlass' words, she just smiled. She could also see that Windlass should also be a R&B player. Otherwise, in the increasingly difficult environment in the future, it would be impossible for him to survive alone. "I don't lack money, and I didn't do much today. Let's just be friends." Saying this, Suwon sent friend requests to the 3 of them. Once they were all confirmed, Suwon left the team without hesitation. Idle. At this time, Wu Baobao, who seemed to have been in a daze, finally came back to her senses and loudly called out to Suwon. "Idle, why are you only level 15? In fact, Wu Baobao had been in a daze ever since Suwon joined the team. Because she saw Suwon's level in the team column, this made Wu Baobao completely unable to believe it in her mind. Her idol should be the best priest in the whole server. Even if he wasn't level 60, he should be at least level 55. What the hell was level 15? Suwon's footsteps didn't stop. "It's nothing. I just got killed by an enemy and dropped a level." Lightly leaving behind these words, Suwon left without turning her head back. "This time, I owe you a favor." In the friends column, Wu Fing silently sent a sentence. Suwon glanced at it and closed the dialogue box. She wasn't a person who liked to do good deeds. Today, she helped them and indeed wanted that Wu Fing to owe her a favor. Looking at Suwon's departing figure, the 3 people stared blankly for a good while. After a long while, Hua Binxing suddenly shouted, "Aya, I remember. Didn't I say yesterday that I have a classmate's older brother in Shirtian Guild who can recommend us to join the guild? I seem to have heard him say that Shirtian Guild recently had a big change. Could it be related to Su Changwanyu? You guys wait, I'll go ask him." Immediately, Hua Binxing opened a certain profile picture in his friends column and carried out a message chat with him. A moment later, Hua Binxing's expression became very strange. "Cousin brother, Xiao Wu, that classmate's older brother said that Su Changwanyu already withdrew from Shirtian Guild. Also, recently, Di Shirtian and Du Lang issued a wanted order to kill her. All the people who receive the wanted order only need to kill Su Changwanyu by 1 level, and they can automatically receive the bounty on the wanted order." Di Shirtian, Du Lang? Aren't those 2 people sworn enemies? Actually, according to Wu Fing's personality, he didn't like to be restrained and didn't plan to join any guild. It's just that his younger sister liked Su Changwanyu very much. This time, he brought his younger sister and his cousin into the game together. Originally, he planned to join Shirtian Guild according to his younger sister's wish. He didn't expect that such a thing would actually happen in Shirtian. Along with Hua Binxing's narration, Wu Baobao also knew about Su Changwanyu, Di Shirtian, Hui Mao Yishao and Du Lang's complicated four-corner relationship. Understanding the general situation, Wu Baobao immediately waved the priest's staff in her hand. Too much bullying. A group of sluts. To actually dare to bully my idol Darren like that. Gidge, you're the best. You must help my idol Darren take revenge. Take revenge? Find the level 65 D Shirtion? Or find the level 64 Du Lang? Or find the level 55 Hui Mao Yishao? Right now, Wu Baobao seemed to have forgotten that her big brother was also only level 15. Let's make the best use of our time to level up. I will return the favor I owe her. After Suwon left, she didn't know that those three people had already automatically regarded themselves as people in Suwon's camp. Right now, Suwon's experience was 80% of level 15. She wanted to wait until level 16 to enter Dragon City and see the situation. Right at this time, a familiar cold wind suddenly attacked from behind. Backstab skill. There's an assassin. Suwon's whole body tensed up. Even if she was wearing a long priest's robe, she still nimbly dodged. The ice-cold hidden weapon brushed against the corner of her clothes. Even if it was just a little bit, it still hit Suwon's 999 horsepower. Right now, her character's HP was suddenly reduced by half. Suwon nimbly threw a primary healing skill on herself, and a second later, a fluorescent light bathed Suwon's whole body from top to bottom. Advanced healing skill. A woman wearing a pure white priest's robe slowly walked out from behind a tree at the side. That noble and elegant robe fluttered without any wind. Lemon is not sour. Level 60 priest. Suwon recognized the female priest in front of her. She was wearing a priest's robe called Light of Faith. Currently, there was only one such robe in the entire region. Suwon had once brought Shirtyan's people to grind the instance for 3 days and 3 nights. Unfortunately, after she was chased by D Shirtion and Lone Wolf, this equipment dropped. She didn't expect that it would actually appear on Lemon is Not Sour's body. Long time no see. Lemon is Not Sour was a woman who wasn't too beautiful. Her body carried a kind of indifference that pushed people 1,000 miles away. Right now, her tone was also indifferent, and her ordinary face didn't have much expression. Supreme Zune, your wife has always been this expressionless. What do you think? Suwon just smiled at Lemon is Not Sour. Then she turned around and looked at the assassin who had just appeared behind her. Supreme Zune, Huaxia's 4th District's #1 assassin. He was currently wearing the current top-notch assassin's outfit, Knight. The weapon that just attacked Suwon was Supreme Zune's special hidden weapon, Knight's Breath. Hearing the ridicule in Suwon's tone, Supreme Zune just slightly raised his eyes. I haven't seen you for a period of time, and you've actually learned to be humorous. It seems that after leaving D Shirtion that guy, your IQ has also recovered a lot. Suwon declined to comment, but her gaze was firmly fixed on Ji Zune's grave and stern face. Supreme Zune raised his eyebrows at Suwon and directly threw her a team request. When Suwon entered the team, she then discovered that there were 2 other people in the team: Horizontal Blade Horse, level 62 warrior. 0 degree combustion, level 63 mage. Right now, the other 2 people were not on the same map as them. The 2 people's avatars were gray, but in the team panel, they could still be used to chat with them. Horizontal Blade Horse. Welcome to the Hurricane team. 0 degree combustion. Goddess Wanyu, please take care of me. Lemon is Not Sour. Quiet. 0 degree combustion. Woo woo woo. Sister-in-law is so fierce. I'm so scared. Goddess Wanyu, please take care of me. Su Chung Wanyu. Chapter 66. In the world of Lingshan, in addition to the various large guild organizations, there were also a lot of private teams and online game studios mixed in. However, most of the studios were based on the premise of profit. Snatching bosses, using underhanded methods, killing people and stealing goods, this kind of thing was a common occurrence for them. And it's not like they haven't done this kind of thing before. However, in the world of Lingshan, when the online game changed from virtual to infinitely close to reality, many studios struggled in this world and didn't dare to be presumptuous easily. After all, no matter how many bad things you did in the past, no one knew who you were. Even if you were a man or a woman, there was no way to verify. But here, Everyone showed their true face and couldn't set up a smurf and change their ID. If a person's reputation was bad, he really couldn't mingle in this world anymore. However, there were exceptions to everything. Among the numerous online game studios, there was such an exception. They were the Hurricane Studio. Rather than saying that they were a studio, it would be better to say that they were a small team. The captain of this small team was Supreme Zune, and the team members were Lemon Not Sour, Horizontal Blade Horse, and 0 Degree Burning. Their studio was famous for killing people and stealing goods in various major games. Now that they came to Lingshan, the 4 people still didn't know how to restrain themselves. Those scattered people who trained alone and some members of small guilds loved and hated this studio that often snatched people's bosses and exploded people's equipment. What they hated was that their shameless behavior was monstrous. What they loved was that today, when all the large guilds occupied all the high-level training points, only Hurricane Studio could survive in the cracks. As long as you have money, they can bring you to level up and bring you to fly. Soaring to level 30 in a day is not a dream. At that time, Suwon also valued this point, so she decided to join the Hurricane Studio and cooperate with Supreme Zune. Now in this kind of situation, only the people from Hurricane Studio had the ability to bring her to restore her level in a short period of time. As long as she restored to level 45, she could use the resurrection technique and wear high-level equipment. Suwon would no longer be afraid of those people who chased after her. Of course, when the original Suwon was chased before, it wasn't that she didn't think of hiring a studio to help her level up, but at that time, she was in the limelight and no one dared to help her. Moreover, ordinary workshops were no match for these 2 guilds. In this district, the only workshop that did not fear the 2 guilds was the Hurricane Workshop. Although there were few people in Hurricane, each and every one of them was an elite. The 4 of them were all famous figures in their region's rankings, and their boss, Supreme Ji, was also the region's top assassin. This kind of assassin who could stealthily assassinate people, and there was also a high-level priest by his side to assist him at any time. The combination of these 2 people could be said to be flawless. Even if they were to go against the region's #1 fighter, Di Shirtion, they would also have the strength to fight. As for the people from other guilds, because they were afraid of Supreme Ji's assassination, they would try to get along with the Hurricane Studio as much as possible. Of course, this didn't mean that Hurricane Workshop was invincible. It was just that the guild leaders of large guilds had too many things to deal with every day. Nobody could invest all of their time and energy into a small workshop, right? Regarding this, the Supreme Emperor was still very self-aware. So when he first received Suwon's job application letter and saw the request in the letter, the Supreme Emperor instinctively wanted to refuse. But when he saw the additional cost of bringing her to level up, the Supreme Emperor's heart was moved. He checked the deposit in that bank card. The huge number inside made him tremble with fear. At that time, he knew that this time, Su Chungwon-yu really put down her hard-earned capital. Only an idiot wouldn't earn money. So now, Supreme Ji took the initiative to invite Suwon to join the team. It could be considered as agreeing to her request. From this moment on, she was a member of the Hurricane Workshop. And in the following week, all the members of the Hurricane Workshop only had one task, which was to bring Suwon to level up. With the help of Supreme Ji and the other 3 people, Suwon's path to level up became very smooth. At this time, the new instance had just opened. The guild leaders of the large guilds in the whole region were actively organizing people to explore the way in the instance. Even if someone discovered Su Chungwon-yu's figure, no one had the leisure to go and kill her. And at this time, Di Shirtion and Hui Mao Yishao were in the period of warming up. He had long thrown Su Chungwon-yu to the back of his mind. Shirtion Guild's new vice-guild leader, Elder Dawn Wind Waning Moon, originally couldn't bear to see Suwon being hunted down. So, the matter of her returning to the game was suppressed by Elder Dawn Wind Waning Moon. Di Shirtion didn't know, in the blink of an eye, it was the weekend again. Right now, Suwon's level had already risen to level 45. This was the benefit of entering the game later. When the game just opened, there were fewer monsters and more people. Everyone leveled up and explored at the same time. Several people snatched a monster and stumbled their way to level 30. But now, there was a high-level team that brought her to the densely packed monster areas to level up. The experience gained was like flowing water, and she could rush to level 30 in almost a day. Of course, after reaching level 45, Su-won's leveling speed also slowed down. She calculated the ratio of the experience gained by several people right now. If she wanted to rise back to level 50 in the shortest time possible, there was only one way: to solo the level 45 instance, Millennium Realm. Millennium Realm was currently a relatively mid-range small instance in the game. The normal arrangement was for a small team of 5 people. Of course, there were also people with good operation and top-notch equipment who formed a team of 2 or 1-person solo. These few days, Su-won used her forging skills to create a set of level 40 priest equipment for herself. Her whole body added 8. In the same level, it was already considered pretty good equipment. Moreover, many of the rare skills that she had previously obtained could now be used. For example, resurrection, defense, and enfeeblement. These were all relatively practical skills. Especially enfeeblement, it often had a role that could not be ignored when dealing with bosses. After telling Ji-zoon her thoughts, Su-won used the teleportation formation to directly teleport to the entrance of the Millennium Realm instance. At this time, most of the ordinary players were still around level 50, so the entrance of the Millennium Realm instance was very lively. Su-won unhurriedly walked into the crowd. At first, she did not attract the attention of others, but before she could walk in front of the instance NPC, she met a familiar figure head-on: White Wolf, level 60 assassin, Wolf's Fong Guild's elder. This assassin with a pale face and a somewhat malicious smile was the assassin who chased after Su-won when she first entered the task world. Su Chung-won-yu? At this time, White Wolf naturally also saw Su-won's figure. He slightly froze and subconsciously threw an identification talisman on Su-won's body ID. Su Chung-won-yu: gender, female, profession, priest, level 45, affiliated guild, none, good and evil value. Minus 798 inches. This game, the good and evil value is calculated according to the number of people you kill. Every time you kill a person, you lose 1 point. Like this, every point of evil value needs to be online for 1 hour to be eliminated. Su-won was often online recently. She had not killed people for a long time, so her good and evil value was gradually decreasing. Even so, there was still more than 700 evil value. It can be seen that when she was originally in Shirtion Guild, how many people she killed like flies. You seem to be living quite leisurely recently. White Wolf slightly licked his lips and looked at Su-won maliciously. Just now, he called out her name and his voice was very loud. So much so that the eyes of everyone nearby fell on Su-won. Facing White Wolf's provocation and other people's gloating expressions, Su-won's gaze sank. A good dog doesn't block the way. Su Chung-won-yu. White Wolf was enraged by Su-won's words and raised his arm to block her path again. Are you courting death? Believe it or not, I'll immediately call all the people here to whiten you to level 10. You Wolf's Fong people only know how to bully the few with numbers, and you especially like to bully women, right? As she spoke, Su-won disdainfully looked at White Wolf in front of her. Do you dare to go 1v1 with me in the arena? Fight if you're not convinced. This was Su-won's principle of life. Why wouldn't I dare? White Wolf, this person was still conceited. Hearing Su-won's words, he immediately opened a room in the arena and directly threw an invitation to Su-won. If you can beat me, I won't find trouble with you in the future. Hearing White Wolf's words, Su-won just smiled. She immediately clicked confirm, and the figures of the 2 people were directly transmitted into the arena's room. Lingshan's arena was a place where everyone competed and learned from each other. The people who were defeated here would not lose experience, and the people who won would not increase their evil value because of killing people. Seeing that the 2 people really entered the arena, the rest of the onlookers were also unwilling to fall behind. Almost by prior agreement, they all rushed into the arena to watch. Chapter 67. The competition room that White Wolf chose was the simplest arena room. It was square and had nowhere to hide. This kind of room was actually not conducive for assassins to PK, but in White Wolf's view, he had a 15-level suppression and his equipment was also much better than Su-won's. Even if Su-won was a priest and had a healing skill, it was still very easy to kill her with his own attack power. When the countdown ended, White Wolf immediately activated stealth, but to his surprise, Suwon also threw out a light bullet at the first moment. This was the only attack skill that a low-level priest currently had. It wasn't very powerful, but it almost didn't have any cooldown time. Moreover, the skill was also the fastest to launch. Therefore, Suwon seized the initiative from the start. Her light bullet interrupted White Wolf's stealth, and the battle-hardened White Wolf did not panic when he saw that his stealth was interrupted. The poisoned blood dome Slyblade drew a dark green color and headed straight for Suwon, Assassin's high-level skill, Bleak Blade. Once hit, in addition to the most basic physical damage, the target will be marked and continue to be poisoned and lose health for the next 10 seconds. The assassin's sensitivity had always been the highest among the 5 professions, and White Wolf's physical fitness was also much better than ordinary people. Suwon only saw a trace of a dark green afterimage, and in the next moment, White Wolf's figure was already in front of her. Suwon also instant cast a light bullet technique. Taking advantage of the time when the White Wolf was dazzled by the white light, she quickly retreated. While retreating, she used the deceleration technique. 3 seconds later, the White Wolf once again rushed in front of Suwon, and the deceleration technique was also activated. The White Wolf's movements immediately became sluggish, and Suwon took advantage of this opportunity to directly use the weakening technique on the White Wolf's body. Taking advantage of the fact that he was hit by the weakening technique, Suwon continuously used the light bullet technique. 200, 200, 200. As the level increased, the damage of the light bullet also increased. In a few seconds, White Wolf had already lost 1,000 health points, and he still had more than 4,700 health points. Right now, White Wolf's face was even paler. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, Suwon continuously lost more than 1,000 drops of health points. This was an unprecedented humiliation for him. Enraged, White Wolf immediately activated the assassin's signature skill, Snipe. Once hit by this skill, the target would be immobilized for 5 seconds. This time, the attack launched by the White Wolf was fast, accurate, and ruthless, leaving no time for Suwon to dodge. And the moment the White Wolf attacked, Suwon only had time to cast a light shield technique for herself. This was one of the life-saving skills of a priest. The light shield that was cast could absorb a certain proportion of the damage for the caster and was immune to the instant death effect. White Wolf's attack hit. Seeing that Suwon was stunned in place, White Wolf's face revealed a sinister smile. In the next 5 seconds, he used all his attack skills on Suwon's body, 720, -680, -900. As a level 45 priest, Suwon's health was only 3,000 points. She was continuously attacked by the White Wolf for 5 seconds. She relied on the light shield's instant death immunity and finally only had 270 points of health left. Let's end this. White Wolf slid and almost rushed in front of Suwon. The two people's bodies were infinitely close. Right now, the cooldown time of White Wolf's attack skills had not passed, but he was sure that he could use physical attacks to end Suwon's little life. But at this time, Suwon suddenly leaned forward and White Wolf's wrist just happened to rub against Suwon's chest. In that instant, it was as if White Wolf was cast with a body-fixing technique. His entire person was fixed in place, and the blood dome Slyblade in his hand was only a few millimeters away from Suwon's body. The entire competition room was in an uproar. Most people widened their eyes, looking at the current situation in confusion. Could it be that Su Chungwon-yu obtained a new priest skill? It doesn't look like it, Of course, it wasn't that everyone didn't understand what happened. Some male players expressed, cough cough. Encountering this kind of thing, we can only understand it but not explain it in words, Right now, White Wolf's body was stiff. The expression on his face was as if he was struck by lightning. In his mind, a certain mechanical system voice still carried an ice-cold lingering sound. Player White Wolf maliciously touched a female player's body. The system gave a level 3 warning. Because Lingshin was a simulated holographic online game, in order to protect the relatively weak female players, this hidden system of beware of lecherous pig hands was specially added. Once a male player touched a female player's private parts, he would immediately be warned by the system and his whole body would be paralyzed for 5 seconds. Of course, this was the lightest punishment. If it was a second offense, the punishment would be doubled. If someone maliciously violated others, the most serious person would be blacklisted by the system and would not be able to enter the world of Lingshan in this lifetime. Regarding this hidden system, most people didn't know about it, and there was no introduction in the official website. But with the increase in the number of people in the game in the future, this system would no longer be a secret. Also, after the system update, there would be other systems that would be more humane to protect the player's privacy. Taking advantage of the time when White Wolf was paralyzed, Su-won continuously cast a few healing spells on herself. After that, she immediately aimed at White Wolf and threw a light bullet once again, 200, 200, 200, 200. Seeing that Su-won's HP had recovered by more than half, but he had lost another 1000 HP, White Wolf also wanted to cry but had no tears. Priest. This profession really made people feel vexed. When piking in the arena, other professions couldn't use props to recover HP, but priests could recover HP to save themselves. Checking the CD of his attack skills, the instant his skills recovered, White Wolf rushed towards Su-won again. The two people fought for several minutes. Su-won recovered her HP as soon as she was free, and because her movements were particularly clever, her perception was also particularly keen. It caused White Wolf's surprise attacks to fail several times. When the 5-minute countdown in the arena ended, both people were still alive. So the system automatically judged Su Chang-won-yu's victory according to the remaining HP of the two people. When the two people were sent back to the entrance of the Millennium Realm instance, White Wolf looked at Su-won with a fierce face. "You cheated. Do it again." A man should be able to afford to lose, unless you admit that you're not a man. Su-won raised her eyebrows at White Wolf and her body leaned towards White Wolf. This time, White Wolf seemed to be frightened and immediately dodged to the side. Seeing that he was no longer blocking her path, Su-won quickly walked to the NPC's side and took out the props to open the instance. Her figure flashed, and the next moment, her whole person had already appeared in the instance. Damn it! White Wolf, who was thrown outside, fiercely looked at the instance's entrance and finally simply found a place to sit down. He wanted to stay here and wait for the rabbit. He didn't believe that Su Chang-won-yu could always stay in the instance and not come out. At the same time, the video of White Wolf and Su Chang-won-yu's PK in the arena was recorded by someone and uploaded to Lingshan's official forum. Su Chang-won-yu, who had disappeared for many days, returned to the 4th District, and PK White Wolf did not fall into a disadvantageous position. Just this title alone had already attracted a lot of people's attention. And among the large number of onlookers who carefully watched the match, someone quickly discovered that White Wolf's momentary abnormality. Afterwards, there were players who logged in anonymously to popularize science to everyone. What was the beware of salty pig hands system? After that player who did a good deed without leaving his name popularized the science, the entire post building began to tilt in a strange direction. Onlooker A. White Wolf actually dared to touch my goddess's chest. What a lunatic. I only want to say 4 words to him. Put me down. Onlooker B. Upstairs +1 Onlooker C. Upstairs +10086 Onlooker D. A group of perverts. What's so good about Su Chang-won-yu? Great God, White Wolf. I want to give birth to monkeys for you. Onlooker E. Lingshan World. Huaxia's 6th District. These few days, the new instance was opened. The entire Eternal Night Guild's backbone was busy exploring the instance, but Su Rue had been hiding in the level 70 leveling area alone to level up. Now, he could already cast ice spells very skillfully and easily. In a corner where no one noticed, Su Rue tried to combine his Qinggong with the skills in the game. The experimental results were pretty good. After fighting monsters for a small day, and seeing that his experience bar was about to fill up, Su Rue was satisfied and took out a return scroll to return to the Eternal Night Guild's encampment. Guild leader. Boss. Seeing Su Rue wearing a blue mage robe and leisurely walking through the door, that huge, first in the district, title really blinded people's eyes. Ice-cold little hands, who was in charge of managing the guild's logistics warehouse, giggled and greeted Su Rue. Seeing that Su Rue still had an expressionless face, he was not angry. Instead, he immediately started typing in the guild chat group, "Ice-cold little hands. Guild leader is back. There's an iceberg guild leader releasing cold air all the time, making people feel that this summer is really great. Cloud Poet. Little hands. You're a man. Is it really good to be so love-struck? Delicate and pretty beauty. Although Luan Jia is a Fujoshi, Luan Jia will not support you secretly falling in love with Leader Darren. Leader Darren is so cold and aloof. You mortals better not talk nonsense. Ice-cold little hands. I was wrong. I'm guilty. I just simply want to become a man like the guild leader. That's all. Delicate and pretty beauty. You definitely don't have any hope in this life. In your next life, first reincarnate into a good body. Ice-cold little hands. Delicate and pretty. Even if we're separated by 1,000 mountains and 10,000 rivers, I can still feel the dense malice coming from your heart. Delicate and pretty beauty. Little hands is obedient. Big sister has already teleported back to the city. I can immediately observe Leader Darren up close. Roar, roar, roar. Awe-inspiring evil. You guys are really noisy. Be quiet for me. Melancholy sheep. Linran Gidge. You came out of the arena, ah? Did you just look at the official forum, ah? Awe-inspiring evil? Melancholy sheep. Su Chung when you returned. Just now in the 4th district, she PK with White Wolf in the arena. Awe-inspiring evil. Really? Night Rain. Really? Delicate and pretty beauty? Melancholy sheep? Right now, ice-cold little hands' fingers that were typing in the message were sluggish. Your mother, the Leader Darren who never spoke in the guild chat, actually appeared today. Is it true? Is it a living person? Delicate and pretty beauty and beautiful sheep were both stupefied, and ice-cold little hands subconsciously turned his head to look at Su Rue, who was sitting on the other side of the encampment and concentrating on typing. At this time, a new message appeared in the guild channel Night Rain. What happened to Su Chungwanyu? Actually, the original Situ Yi was a very introverted person, so he never chatted with others in the chat room before, and Su Rue was also not a person who liked to be lively. After becoming Situ Yi, he still maintained this habit of Situ Yi. Only, in the chat room settings, Su Rue set the words Su Chungwan Yub as keywords. Once someone talked about Su Wan's name, his chat box would automatically pop up. Chapter 68. The Eternal Night Guild's chat channel was briefly silent for a few seconds because of Su Rue's sudden appearance. Hearing Su Rue keep asking about Su Chungwanyu, Melancholic Sheep immediately repeated the news he saw on the forum. Then everyone in the guild saw this prompt. This guild's leader Night Rain went offline. Went offline, went offline, went offline. Ice-cold small hands. Who can tell me what happened in the end? Delicate beauty. Leader Darren? Why did Leader Darren leave? The Luan family still hasn't had the time to worship Chu Yun Poet. Melancholic Sheep. Why do I feel like I've discovered some great secret? Awe-inspiring evil. Sheep, come to Lulan. I'll bring you to level. Melancholy Sheep. All right. Ice-cold small hands. Publicly showing affection in the guild and whatnot. Really enough. Su Rue went offline from the game and immediately went to the computer to open Ling Shen's official forum. Then he entered Huaxia District 4's discussion area. Seeing that post that was pinned to the top, Su Rue's eyes flashed. After he finished reading all the content and comments, his entire face was so gloomy that water was about to drip out. Uncle Lee. Su Rue called heavily and the housekeeper uncle's straight figure immediately appeared beside Su Rue. Young master, what instructions do you have? Help me book a ticket to Lijiang City. The sooner the better. Also, contact a good security company. I want them to help me lock onto a person's network IP. Understood, young master. Hearing Su Rue's instructions, Uncle Lee immediately remembered it in his heart and earnestly carried it out for the first time. Turning off the computer, Su Rue lightly breathed a sigh of relief and then somewhat gloomily smiled. He really couldn't wait that long at the same time. Because of the explosive video, almost all the big shots in Huaxia District 4 knew about the news of Su Changwanyu's return. Shi Tian, who was currently leading people to clear a dungeon, couldn't help but have a cold expression. Elder Dawn Wind. What do you have to say? On the side, Elder Dawn Wind Waning Moon was clearing the small monsters while quickly answering, Chairman, you've killed her so many times. I believe that she won't dare to provoke you and Yishao Mimi anymore. Seeing that we've known each other for so many years, just let one you go this once. Di Shirtian's expression sank, and his gaze involuntarily fell on Hui Mao Yixiao's body not far behind him. Right now, Hui Mao Yixiao was already equipped with a level 55 set, and her emerald green priest robe set off her entire person's especially youthful and lively. Tiangij. What? Seeming to feel Di Shirtian's line of sight, Hui Mao Yixiao followed the route that was cleared by everyone and slowly walked to Di Shirtian's side. Su Chengwan Yu is back, Sakura whispered. Yixiao, if you still can't let go of that matter, I'll continue to order people to kill her. King Ingan Tian Tian, I was only killed by her twice. Speaking till here, Hui Mao Yixiao's eyes reddened, as if she thought of something especially wronged. Then she forced a smile and looked at Di Shirtian. After all, you guys used to be friends. You don't need to continue haggling over every ounce with her. Since you said so, I'll let her off. Di Shirtian raised his eyebrows. His face had the appearance of my family. Yixiao is the most kind-hearted and innocent, disregarding former enmity, and I'm the most magnanimous person, not haggling over her despicable person. Elder Dawn Wind and Waning Moon at the side expressed, Leader Darren, why do you give up on healing? Ever since you met Hui Mao Yixiao, your entire IQ has been pulled down a street. You know. And that Hui Mao Yixiao, who hasn't been killed in online games before. Weren't you just killed twice? What does that count as? You didn't drop any equipment and only lost a little bit of experience. What qualifications do you have to cry and wipe your tears? Wan Yu, she was hunted down by the entire server. From level 60, she was killed back to the novice village and was turned white 5 times. She didn't shed a single tear. AI, as an outsider, why do I feel so bad? Lingshan Penglai Island, Millennium Realm Instance's entrance. White Wolf was still sitting at the position facing the instance's entrance, watching everyone go in and out. Right now, his message bar was already exploding. Even the leader, Lone Wolf, sent him a voice call. Lone Wolf, you're still at the entrance of the Millennium Realm Instance? Lone Wolf's voice was slightly hoarse, just like him. This kind of hoarse and deep voice gave people a very dangerous feeling. White Wolf softly responded and immediately said, I want to wait for Su Chengwan Yu to come out and compete with her again. Losing so unjustly and also being ridiculed by the whole server's onlookers. White Wolf felt that if he didn't win back once, he wouldn't be able to face others. Lone Wolf was silent on the other side for a while. Finally, he once again spoke in a low voice. Forget it, White Wolf. Dealing with a woman like this, we're also dropping our status too much. These days, Lone Wolf also couldn't help but reflect on himself. At that time, he impulsively issued a huge bounty hunting order. In the end, was it because of his resentment towards Su Chengwan Yu, or was it because of these years of unwillingness? Seeing her and Di Shirtian fall out and become enemies, the happiest one should be himself. Especially some time ago, he knew that she was killed back to the novice village again and again. At that time, Lone Wolf's heart even had a kind of twisted pleasure. But in the week that Su Chengwan Yu disappeared, Lone Wolf inexplicably felt a little lost, even if that woman was killed so many times. To the point that she wanted to delete her account and not play, she never compromised with anyone. This kind of temperament made Lone Wolf unconsciously recall the scene when he just met Su Chengwan Yu a few years ago. At that time, he was attracted by her temperament that didn't lose to men, right? The so-called no love, no hate. Since he already let go of that infatuation of the past, then why should he continue to bitterly pressure Su Chengwan Yu? Everyone will treat them as strangers in the future. Hearing Lone Wolf's instructions, White Wolf froze for a long time. White Wolf, boss, don't tell me you still. Lone Wolf, I've already let it go. Losing Di Shirtian's protection, Su Chengwan Yu alone in the 4th district can't turn over any storm no matter how much she tosses and turns. Don't tell me that I, Lone Wolf, am a dignified guild leader, still can't tolerate her, a woman? It has to be said that in some aspects, Lone Wolf is still more able to take up and let go than Di Shirtian. While the outside was bustling with excitement because of his video, Suwon was single-mindedly grinding the instance. In the depths of the beautiful seabed, jellyfish monsters flashing with blue light floated everywhere. This was the sealed Millennium Realm. The background story of the Millennium Realm instance was a poignant love legend. Legend has it that this was a seabed castle that was sealed for 1,000 years. In the castle lived the noblest and most beautiful mermaid king in the entire sea. 1,000 years ago, the Mermaid King used forbidden magic to turn into a human and went to the splendid cherry blossoming Chuyun City to play. In the land of the moon in Chuyun City, she met the young and handsome city lord's son. The two people quickly fell in love. Because forbidden magic couldn't maintain her human form for a long time, the Mermaid King must return to her seabed castle before the magic lost its effect. Knowing that his beloved girl was about to leave, the city lord's son was very sad. He used many ways to make his beloved stay. Perhaps it was because the cherry blossom rain in Chuyun City that year was too gorgeous, or maybe it was because the moon in Chuyun City was particularly beautiful that the Mermaid King couldn't resist her lover's infatuation. On the last day before the magic lost its effect, she still couldn't bear to leave. As a result, early the next morning, she turned back into a mermaid. The Mermaid King who turned into a mermaid did not receive the love and tenderness of her imagined lover. Instead, she was imprisoned as a tribute, waiting to be offered to Ingzhou's envoy. The extremely angry Mermaid King used ice magic to freeze the entire Chuyun City. Then, she captured her lover who betrayed her and locked him up in her seabed castle. This incident caused the wrath of Ingzhou's Dragon City Lord. He sent out 2 elite teams to rescue Chuyun City. At the same time, they went all the way to the depths of the sea. The magic army destroyed the seal on the seabed and Dragon City's cavalry trampled the Mermaid King's castle. When they found the son of Chuyun City's city lord, he was already on the verge of death. The enraged Chuyun City Lord used the human's secret magic to seal the Mermaid King. From then on, she could only wander around the abandoned castle with infinite grief and anger. In the world of Lingxin, every player who enters this instance is tacitly recognized as a brave person who unintentionally broke into the forbidden area. They will overcome all obstacles, and after clearing all the small monsters, the ultimate big boss of this instance will be refreshed, the Mermaid King full of grievances. The Mermaid King was a magic boss, equivalent to a human's ice mage. When she was not in a berserk state, although her attacks were very strong, because all the spells needed to be chanted, when fighting her alone, as long as the player's operation could keep up with their awareness, it was still possible to slowly grind this boss to death. Su-Wan fought this instance alone by relying on her own outstanding awareness and the priest's profession skills of healing and buffing. She used half an hour to clear the small monsters in the instance. At this time, Su-Wan was already standing on the ruins of the old castle. A burst of red light flashed and the enchanting and beautiful Mermaid King respawned. Su-Wan could feel the strong aura of grief on her body. She sighed in her heart at Lingxin's production team's painstaking efforts. Su-Wan did not hesitate to cast a weakening spell on the Mermaid King. 25 minutes later, the Mermaid King, dressed in gorgeous clothing, fell to the ground with a loud bang, turning into equipment and forging materials. Among them, there was also a Millennium Realm special collection, the Tear of the Mermaid King. Chapter 69. The Tear of the Mermaid King was, in fact, a heart-shaped blue crystal. This special collection was not cheap and could be exchanged for a lot of silver coins in the store. Of course, players who like to collect could also keep this special collection as a souvenir. Su-Wan sorted out her spoils of war and looked at her experience bar that had risen by 40%. She was very satisfied with the Tear of the Mermaid King and tossed it in the palm of her hand. The sparkling and translucent blue light carried a faint aura of sorrow. You must be particularly desperate, right? Su-Wan looked at the crystal in her hand and sighed. Humans are selfish and men are even more heartless. If you were given a chance to start over again, would you still fall in love with that human? AI. A drawn-out sigh suddenly sounded behind Su-Wan. Su-Wan suddenly turned around and saw the Mermaid King's light blue soul floating behind her. I have waited for 1,000 years and finally waited for you, foreign warrior. The Mermaid King's voice was particularly pleasant to listen to, like the sounds of nature. Su-Wan clenched the crystal in the palm of her hand. Her face was calm, but her heart was slightly surprised. If she didn't guess wrong, She should have inadvertently triggered the hidden mission in the Millennium Realm. If time could flow back, I would definitely not fall in love with a human. The Mermaid King was still talking to herself, her tone sad. I have already been sealed for 1,000 years, and now my soul is going to drift away. Before my soul flies away and scatters, I still have an unfulfilled wish. Foreign warrior, can you help me fulfill my last wish? As the Mermaid King's last word fell, a transparent dialogue box immediately popped up in front of Su Wan. Congratulations to player Su Chungwanyu for successfully triggering the hidden mission, Mermaid King's Wish, unique. Does the player accept the mission? The following options were willing and unwilling, and in the last column of the dialogue box, the mission reward was marked with a big question mark. Su Wan recalled the original plot. In Lingshan, there were a lot of hidden missions set up, but there were very few unique hidden missions. In the original world, Hui Mao Yishao, who had heaven-defying luck and the Mary Sue aura off the charts, once took on 2 unique hidden quests. Those 2 quests were particularly difficult, and Hui Mao Yishao finally completed the quests with the help of a group of pursuers, and thus obtained the entire server's only priest artifact angel staff, and the entire server's only fairy unicorn. In the plot that Su Wan knew of, no one had triggered the Mermaid King's wish, this task. It seems that those few words of hers triggered this task. I am willing to help you. In the end, Su Wan naturally chose to be willing. As a result, the Mermaid King's soul body just faintly smiled, and the task panel in front of Su Wan immediately changed. Hidden quest. Mermaid King's wish, unique. Quest progress 0%. Quest hint. The Mermaid King, who has been sealed for 1,000 years, misses her other clansmen. Please go to the Mermaid Country to find the abyssal fish demons and collect 100 amethyst ambers. Su Wan. Wasn't this hidden mission a little too overpowered? Damn the land of mermaids. That's a new map that will only appear after the new level is opened in half a year, okay? Su Wan's good mood just a moment ago vanished in an instant. She checked her equipment's wear and tear, thinking that White Wolf, that lingering ghost, didn't know if he was still guarding the door outside. In the end, Su Wan simply went offline in the instance. As long as the game time passes midnight, the instance can be refreshed again, and she can continue to grind the Millennium Realm again. This time, Su Wan went offline relatively early. She used her phone to send a message to Supreme Emperor, then put on a coat and went out to buy food. Winter came especially early in Lijiang City. At this time, there were already people wearing cotton-padded overcoats and down jackets on the streets. Su Wan was considered a person who was relatively resistant to the cold. She wore a red woolen coat and a furry knitted scarf around her neck. She took a taxi to the largest chain supermarket near her home. Thinking that she would have to continuously fight in the game for the next few days, Su Wan bought a lot of fast food, chocolate, milk powder, and other highly nutritious and high-calorie foods. After paying the bill in the supermarket, Su Wan went to the fast food restaurant next to the supermarket to eat a pizza. After eating and drinking to her heart's content, Su Wan took a taxi back to her residence. At 7:30 in the evening, the street lights were first lit. Su Wan got out of the taxi and slowly walked into the corridor while carrying large and small bags. The light in the corridor of the new apartment-style building was still a dim orange color. Su Wan lived on the 5th floor. When she arrived at the door of her house, somewhat exhausted, she saw a black figure leaning against the door of her house. Hearing Su Wan's footsteps, that figure suddenly raised his head. In the dim yellow light, the deep and gloomy eyes flashed a bright color. "You're back." Su Wan's voice was somewhat hoarse, but his tone still carried unconcealable joy. Su Wan frowned and her gaze fell on Su Wan's thin coat. She sighed, opened the door, and threw a pair of women's slippers to Su Wan. "Just put up with it, there aren't any men's." Su Wan moved his limbs and followed Su Wan into the room. The dark red furry women's slippers looked particularly funny on Su Wan's feet, but he didn't seem to feel anything. He looked at the layout of the room and found that Su Wan's apartment still had 2 bedrooms and 1 living room. The corner of Su Wan's mouth immediately slightly rose. It seems that there was no need to rent another apartment next door. It's still better to live together and whatnot. Love is the most. Su Wan sorted the things she bought from the supermarket and put them away. When she returned to the living room, she saw Su Rue frowning and playing with her cell phone. Seeing Su Wan's figure, Su Rue raised his cell phone. There's a text message, I helped you reply. Such a matter-of-fact tone made Su-won's face black lines. Okay, let's talk business first. Su-won sat on the other corner of the sofa and looked at Su Rue. Why did you come? Don't tell me it's a coincidence again. The encounter in the last mission world could be a coincidence, but what about this time? How could there be so many coincidences and coincidences in this world? The so-called fate. Su-won never believed in it. I bought a locator. Su Rue looked at Su-won with a smile. We can often do missions together in the future. Are you happy? Happy, my ass. Su-won's face was gloomy. If I didn't guess wrong, you should be walking the male supporting storyline, right? Our missions are in conflict, don't you know? Su Rue. That there's such a thing? General Su expressed that he didn't know at all, okay? Seeing Su Rue's completely blank expression, Su-won immediately felt tired. Let's not talk about this. Let's talk about your identity this time. According to Su-won's mission experience, the male supporting in every world was very lofty. They made the cannon fodder unable to catch up to them, but they were ordered around by the female lead and occasionally didn't have a good ending. In this mission world, the female lead, Hui Maui Xiao, carried the female lead halo of being loved by everyone who saw her, and she also had a rather awesome skill that attracted the hatred of all female players in the server. That is, any guild leader, male. As long as they see Hui Maui Xiao, they will absolutely fall in love with her at first sight. Fall in love with her when they meet again. Won't marry anyone but you. Pledge eternal love. It was because there were too many affectionate male supporting characters in this world. So now Su-won was also uncertain what Su Rue's identity was right now. He should at least be the leader of a large guild, right? Hearing Su-won ask about his identity, Su Rue couldn't help but raise his eyebrows and smiled at Su-won. This humble servant is Situ Yi, game ID Night Rain. Night Rain, Situ Yi. High City's Situ family's sole heir. Huaxia region's #1 ranked person. Huaxia's 6th district's #1 guild. Eternal Night Guild's leader. Situ Yi had too many identities in this world, but the meaning of this character's existence in life was used to dote on the female lead, and even to the point of sacrificing himself for the female lead and male lead's happy life. That's right, young Master Situ, who was set to be delicate and weak, was using his life to be the second male lead. Chapter 70. When Su-won entered this world, she was already familiar with the main plot of this mission world. At this time, hearing Su Rue speak of his identity, Su-won instantly recalled Situ Ye's life experience in her heart. Comparing her current level with Situ Ye's level in her heart, Su-won felt that this world was still full of dense malice, #1 in all of Huaxia. What to do? Su-won. Seeing Su-won sitting on the sofa in a daze, Su Rue slowly moved to Su-won's side, then shook her phone again and asked in a somewhat unclear tone, "Who the hell is Supreme Emperor?" "The boss of our studio," Su-won answered somewhat dispiritedly. Originally, her starting point in the online game world was pitifully low. Now, compared to Su Rue, Su-won didn't know why she felt especially irritated in her heart. It was that kind of indescribable and unclear emotion that made her entire person suddenly look a lot gloomy. "Boss?" Su Rue lifted his brows. "Is he familiar with you?" Just now, when Su-won was in the kitchen, her cell phone kept ringing. Su Rue picked it up and glanced at it a few times. He saw that it was all text messages from Supreme Zune, basically asking about the game. Finally, he was still very concerned and asked her to eat on time, take care of her body and whatnot. Su Rue expressed that he was in a bad mood after reading the message. As a result, he blacklisted Supreme Emperor without hesitation. As for replying to the text message, General Su expressed that he was just casually saying it. Su-won didn't know that Su Rue had already blacklisted Supreme Emperor. Hearing Su Rue's question, Su-won just absent-mindedly shook her head. Not too familiar, just temporarily cooperating. Leveling up with them can be faster. I'll help you level up in the future. Su Rue's gaze brightened when he heard Su-won mention leveling up. Then he turned his head and looked at Su-won expectantly. There's still half a month before the cross-regional channel opens. At that time, the neutral map and the neutral battlefield will open. My current level is still passable. Once the neutral map opens, I'll take you there to level up. Although the mage was a fragile profession, it had to be said that this profession was the fastest to level up in Lingshan and had the most advantage in fighting monsters. You're really modest. You're first in the whole region, and you still say you're making do? Do I still want to live? Su-wan looked at Su-rue with a bit of a smile. Why didn't I find out that you have the virtue of modesty and courtesy before? I have a lot of good points. You have a lifetime to slowly discover them. Su-rue smiled and quietly moved closer to Su-wan's side. All right, it's time for me to log in. If you're tired, you can sleep in the guest room. We'll talk tomorrow. Su-rue watched as Su-wan returned to the bedroom and connected to the game cabin. General Su expressed that he wasn't happy at all. Hello, Uncle Lee. Turning to the balcony, Su-rue immediately called his housekeeper. When can my game cabin be flown over? What? Tomorrow morning? Forget it. Let's leave it at that for now. Hanging up the phone, Su-rue gazed at the bleak street outside the window, his eyes involuntarily narrowing. Su-wan returned to the game. She was still in the instance. In the empty instance, there was only her lonely figure. Su-wan leaned against the wall at the side and sat down. Right now, her character's mailbox had already exploded. Su-wan opened the snowflake-like mail. 90% of them were friend requests. Almost without looking carefully, Su-wan clicked to reject all of them. Then, she saw a few messages in her friend list. Dawn Wind Waning Moon. Tianji has already revoked the order to kill you. Will we still be friends when we meet in the future? Dancing Baby. Idol Darren. I saw your video. Do you accept disciples? Can you accept me as a disciple? Supreme Zune. Why did you pull my number into the blacklist? When the original owner left Shirtion, she basically deleted all of her good friends in Shirtion. Dawn Wind Waning Moon was the only one left. He was more tactful, but he wasn't that annoying. As the saying goes, when people leave, the tea cools down. At that time, after being killed by Yi Tian, those backbones of Shirtion Guild also participated in the operation to kill Su-wan. Only Elder Dawn Wind Waning Moon didn't make a move, but that was all. He didn't make a move, but he also didn't say a word for her. This was Dawn Wind Waning Moon's way of doing things. Su-wan thought about it, and still deleted him from her friend list. Then, Su-wan gave Wu Baobao a smiley face. When it came to Supreme Zune, Su-wan hesitated for a bit, and still replied with a sentence. I didn't delete it. Then she left it at that. It wasn't 12 o'clock yet, and the instance didn't reset. Su-wan finished dealing with her friend's information and looked at the world channel in boredom. At this time, there were actually people talking about her matters, but the focus of everyone's discussion had shifted from the competition with White Wolf to the suddenly revoked order to kill. It turned out that Lone Wolf was the first to revoke the order to kill, and Di Shirtion also followed closely behind. This time, she finally didn't have to be on tenterhooks while leveling, but Su-wan still felt unhappy. She didn't like this kind of weak identity, but in the world of Lingshan, the level decided everything. When she entered the mission, it was the worst time. According to her current progress of solo clearing the instance every day, when the cross-regional channel opened, she estimated that she could only barely level up to around level 60. Only level 60, and now Su-rue's mage account was already level 70. Su-wan sighed again. Sure enough, Su-rue's appearance made her feel very vexed. She clearly knew that using Su-rue would be the fastest way to achieve her goal. If it was the previous Su-wan, she wouldn't even think about it, and would definitely use the most concise and fastest way to complete the mission. But now, Su-wan's mood was very irritable. From the first time she saw Su-rue at the door of the house, she felt that her heart was a bit chaotic. This kind of strange and familiar emotion made Su-wan unwilling to stay in the room for even a second. She could only hide in the game now and slowly sort out her own emotions. After telling herself 100 times in her heart, calm down, Su-wan's expression slightly improved. She quietly went offline and came out of her bedroom. She found that the lights in the living room had been turned off and the door of the guest room on the side was closed. She didn't know if Su-rue was resting or doing something else. Su-wan went to the kitchen to pour a glass of water for herself, then turned around and returned to the bedroom to change into her pajamas to rest. The next morning, Su-wan was woken up by a burst of noise. She opened the bedroom door in a daze and saw a group of workers moving Lingshan's extra-large game chamber into her home in an orderly manner. What do you mean? Su Wan saw Su Rue sitting on the sofa in the living room, calm and unruffled. When Su Rue heard Su Wan's voice, he turned his head and saw her wearing light blue home clothes, standing at the door with a confused face. He suddenly felt that Su Wan's appearance was very cute. What should he do? Su Rue immediately stood up and walked in front of Su Wan, using his figure to cover her slender body. Such a cute Su Wan. It's fine as long as he's the only one looking at it. Su Wan, did you read some strange CEO novel again these days? Su Wan felt that the way Su Rue looked at her was really too strange, making her feel uncomfortable all over. It's time for your game chamber to be replaced. These two are the latest Super Deluxe Limited Edition game chambers produced by TX Company that I specially ordered people to fly over. It's also a unique couple model. We'll each have one. Your machine number is 520 and mine is 521. While speaking, Su Rue slightly leaned sideways, one hand on the door frame, and lowered his eyes to look at Su Wan expectantly. What the hell is this kind of begging you to quickly praise me expression? Su Rue, do you know that your character is getting more and more broken? Right now, Su Wan was madly rolling her eyes in her heart, but she clearly misjudged Su Rue's fighting strength. What's called showing off your love to the death of a single dog? After the game crossed regions, Eternal Night Guild's guild leader, Night Rain. In addition to the title of the region's first, he was also given the nickname of Crazy, Arrogant, Dazzling, Cool, Amazing, Exploding, Heaven by the entire server's players, Crazy Love Demon. Chapter 71. As a literary and artistic young man, Yang Fan never liked to play online games, but after being pulled into Lingshan by his younger brother, Yang Fan felt that online games were actually quite fun. Of course, it would be great if Lingshan could change the game ID. Ice-cold little hands and whatnot. What the hell was that? He could only blame himself for being too stupid and naive. He didn't even know how to use a game ID. In the end, he was successfully fooled by his younger brother. The two brothers, ice-cold little hands and ice-cold little feet. Originally, his younger brother, Yang Liang, said that he would teach him to kill monsters and level up. As a result, during the open beta, his hand trembled and the two people actually chose different regions. In the end, could they still play happily? Well, in fact, Huaxia District 4 and Huaxia District 6, it doesn't sound too far? What the hell? Gu, you're distracted again. Yang Liang's voice interrupted Yang Fan's thoughts. Yang Fan pushed his glasses and looked up to see that he was standing in front of a row of women's supplies. Forcefully turning around calmly, Yang Fan was about to push the shopping cart around with a straight face, but he suddenly froze there. Heavens, heavens, I must be seeing things. Hallucinating, right? Go. What's wrong with you? Yang Liang saw his elder brother stop again, and he couldn't help but step forward and wave his hand in front of Yang Fan's eyes. Did you see a ghost? No, it's not a ghost. It's the president. President. Because of Lingshan's high degree of restoration, everyone's character image was basically the same as in real life. Of course, some common faces still couldn't be found even if they were thrown into the crowd, but some people with outstanding looks would be very easy to remember. Su Rue clearly belonged to the kind of place where you can't forget once you see him. Today, Su Rue wore a khaki casual sweater and a black woolen windbreaker hung on his arm. His soft chestnut short hair was particularly refreshing. At this time, he was smiling as he followed Su Wan, talking to her while walking. His handsome face was full of gentleness. Yang Fan had never seen such a gentle Su Rue. In his impression, the president used to be very introverted and silent, and now he was especially expressionless like an iceberg. Could it be that the way he went to the supermarket today was wrong? When Yang Fan denied himself, Yang Liang followed Yang Fan's line of sight. I'll go. Long-legged Appa. Is that your president? Looks like a celebrity? Io. He's smiling so brightly. He must be a very nice person usually, right? The one beside him must be his girlfriend? TSK. He doesn't look bad, but he looks a little familiar. Holy shit. Isn't that Su Chang Wan you? Su. Chung. Wan. You? Yang Fan. I think I also know a big secret. He wouldn't be silenced by the president and have his corpse destroyed, right? Well, as it turned out, Yang Fan was definitely thinking too much. At this time, Su Rue and Su Wan had already arrived in front of the Yang brothers and then brushed past them. Yang Fan, sob, I was ignored by the president. It was very obvious that Su Rue was born with an automatic immunity and disregard function for people other than Su Wan. The two people finally stopped in front of the row of women's products. Su Wan casually took a pack of sanitary pads, but it was snatched by Su Rue. WeChat said that there are a lot of fake goods from this brand. Xiao Wan, you don't need to use this. As he spoke, Su Rue smiled and took a pack from the top. The brand was foreign, purely imported, and the price was also blinding people's eyes. This is good, super thin, leak-proof, comfortable, and breathable. Su Wan, are you sure you're not possessed by some strange thing? Su Rue, at this time, the Yang brothers who were watching from a close distance were already petrified. Yang Fan, I was wrong. I must have seen wrongly. This person must be the president's twin brother. It must be. Yang Liang. I'll go. That thing is so expensive, ah. It's said that women have to use it every month. Then wouldn't I have to spend a lot more money every month when I marry a wife in the future? A certain someone. Didn't you realize that the focus of your attention has gone astray? And? Su Wan and Su Rue naturally didn't know their psychological activities, but they felt that there were two lines of sight that had been intentionally or unintentionally falling on him and Su Wan, which made Su Rue feel very uncomfortable. He gently turned sideways and used the corner of his eyes to glance at the place where Yang Fan and Yang Liang were standing. The two brothers only felt a sharp and cold gaze piercing through the air. At that moment, the two people's hearts trembled, and then the two brothers coincidentally pushed the shopping cart and fled. What's wrong? At this time, Su Wan also felt Su Rue's abnormality at that moment. She couldn't help but turn her head and look at him. I'm fine. Su Rue put away the coldness in his eyes and looked at Su Wan with a beaming smile. These few days, you're not feeling well, so don't go on the game. Take a good rest for a few days. Buy more ingredients today. I'll cook for you. Cook? Thinking of General Su's cooking skills, Su Wan was also speechless. No need to be so troublesome, just order takeout. Although Su Wan didn't say it clearly, Su Rue also saw that his cooking skills were absolutely despised. How could this be? The overbearing CEOs in the novels were all able to enter the kitchen from the main hall, and they were also some international chefs and so on. Su Rue thought that the next time he looked for a task, he must find a gourmet world to properly improve his cooking skills. For 3 consecutive days, Su Wan did not go online. Supreme Zune and the others also did not contact Su Wan. Until the 3rd night, when Su Wan received Supreme Zune's transfer, did she know that Su Rue had already found Hurricane Studio and terminated the cooperation and employment relationship between her and Hurricane Studio. Regarding this, Su Wan didn't take it to heart. Now, she was no longer being chased by people. If she wanted to level up, she also didn't need other people's help. Now, Su Wan's first task was to quickly rise to level 60. The newly opened instance by the system was level 60. Currently, no guild had successfully opened it. According to the storyline that Su Wan knew, in the original world, it wasn't until after the cross-region opening that this level 60 instance was cleared by Shirtian Guild. Everything relied on Hui Mao Yijiao's heaven-defying luck. Although her game operation wasn't good, the female lead, Darren's luck was unparalleled. That level 60 instance was a labyrinth instance, and there were many forks in the road. Once you choose wrongly, you will walk into a dead end and be annihilated by the Berserk Monster Legion. And Shirtian relied on Hui Mao Yijiao's intuition. In addition, at that time, the elite team in the guild's level and equipment were more or less upgraded. After the cross-region opening, they spurred on and took the instance's first kill. And in that instance, the first kill reward was a special skill book, Forced Resurrection level 60 priest skill. After this skill is released, the release target will be forcefully resurrected and recover 20% of the user's HP and 20% of MP. This skill book was originally obtained by Shirtian and Hui Mao Yijiao, and now Su Wan must snatch it into her hands. For Hui Mao Yijiao, this skill could only be used when Shirtian was PK with an enemy. If she happened to follow at the side, she could occasionally use it. And for Su Wan, this was a skill book that she must obtain as a violent priest. Chapter 72. Lingxin gathered players from all over the world, and Huaxia's 8 regions were the regions with the most players. After a few days, when Su Wan went online again, everyone no longer discussed her topic because there would be new news every day in Huaxia's 4 regions, and there were new lively things to watch. Now, many people were paying attention to the latest developments on the official website, waiting for the system update and the opening of the cross-region channel after half a month. Su Wan was still clearing the Millennium Realm alone. The speed of clearing the instance also gradually became faster as she became more and more skilled and gradually increased her level and attack power. After spending money to buy the key to refresh the instance, Su Wan continuously cleared the instance for 2 days and did a few main quests. Then, she smoothly rose to level 50. After level 50, she would change to a new map, Quicksandland. There was a barren desert there, and there were all kinds of strange monsters occupying the desert. At this time, there were a lot of players training in Quicksandland. Almost all the places with dense monsters were occupied by the big guilds. The other 3 players could only find a place with fewer monsters to slowly level up or find another way and form a team to level up in a high-level monster area. In Lingxin, the greater the difference in level between the monsters and the players, the more experience you would get from killing monsters. However, opportunities and dangers coexisted when killing monsters of a higher level. This was because in Lingxin, starting from level 55, monsters on all level maps would take the initiative to attack monsters, and their lethality wasn't low. If you didn't have a strong sense of operation and rashly formed a team to kill monsters of a higher level, you would definitely die miserably. Su Wan, on the other hand, didn't have this worry because she was very confident in her awareness and operation. More importantly, after reaching level 50, she obtained a priest's first group attack skill, Holy Light Technique. This was a priest's essential skill for fighting monsters and leveling up. Level 60 Wild Map, Lulan Underground Palace. At this time, there weren't many players who reached level 60 in the game, and Lulan Underground Palace had a total of 5 floors. The monsters on each floor were very dense, and their attacks were also very sharp. Therefore, there weren't many people fighting monsters on this map every day. When Ice-Cold Small Feet and his teammates, Ends of the Earth, entered the first floor of the underground palace, the monsters at the entrance seemed to have just been cleared by someone. There were still collected items on the ground that hadn't disappeared. The monsters here were level 60 and were the lowest level monsters in the entire underground palace. Ice-Cold Small Feet had just reached level 57. He and Ends of the Earth had already been here for 3 days. The two planned to go to the second floor of the underground palace to farm when they reached level 58. We're late today. Ends of the World sighed. Although Wolf's Fong did not have a good reputation as a high-quality player, Ends of the World did not like to use his guild to suppress others. He also did not like to steal kills from others. Let's go around the corner. There are quite a lot of monsters there. As they spoke, Icy Cold Small Feet had already entered the underground palace. Ends of the Earth followed closely behind him. Not long after, the two of them heard the sounds of battle. Looking towards the source of the sound, they immediately saw a slender figure wielding a priest's staff among the dark green underground palace guards. Her movements were extremely fast, and the time she cast her skills was just before the cooldown of each skill ended. She didn't waste a single second. It is Su Chang Wan Yu. Although he couldn't see the person in the middle of the group of mobs, he could tell that it was a female cleric based on her skills. There were only a handful of female shepherds in all of China's 4 servers that could do this. Moreover, the person who was leveling up on the first floor of the underground palace was obviously not level 60 yet, so it was easy to guess this person's identity. Su Chang Wan Yu? Hearing Ends of the Earth's words, Icy Cold Small Feet suddenly exclaimed. This cry did not disturb Su Wan, who was concentrating on leveling up not far away. Instead, it attracted the attention of a small team that had just entered the first floor of the underground palace behind them. Hey, the two Wolf's Fong in front. What do you guys want to do? A crisp female voice rang behind the two people. Immediately, a young and cute female cleric, wearing a light green priest robe, appeared beside the two people. Speak. Do you guys want to sneak attack my master? Are you tired of living? Do you guys want to withdraw like White Wolf? Ends of the earth. Your master? Su Chengwanyu? Icy cold small feet. What does White Wolf withdrawing have to do with Su Chengwanyu? Wait, maybe it really is related? Icy cold small feet suddenly remembered that everyone in the guild was talking about White Wolf withdrawing because his family went bankrupt and whatnot. It seems like the day he withdrew was the day he and Big Brother met their guild leader and Su Chengwanyu in the supermarket, right? Could it be? Unknowingly, Icy cold small feet had already imagined a melodramatic annual drama, and the truth of the matter was naturally very different from the content of his imagination. But one thing he felt was right, making by family go bankrupt and whatnot. It was indeed Su Rui's doing. Heavenly cold Wangpo. This was one of the necessary skills of an overbearing CEO that Su Rui learned in the novel. Using it was simply awesome. Right now, Ends of the Earth still didn't know that his unreliable teammate was imagining things. He raised his eyes and looked at this female cleric who looked like a student. She was wearing level 50 equipment and seemed to have come here to level up. But, Wu Baobao? He didn't have any impression of this name, but the person behind her Daoufeng. Ends of the Earth heard of this warrior before. He was a very powerful character. Once, an elder in the guild wanted to rope him into the guild, but in the end, he refused. Out of fear of Wufeng, Ends of the Earth couldn't help but explain. The two of us also came here to level up and don't want to have any conflicts with others. If there's nothing else, we'll leave first. As he spoke, he pulled the still absent-minded icy cold small feet, and the two people quickly walked in another direction. Humph, at least you're sensible. Wu Baobao clenched her fists behind them. Fire and Ice on the side could only helplessly smile, and then he also looked at Su Wan not far away. Right now, she had already eliminated a batch of monsters and was currently luring the second batch. Fengji, how about we still team up with her? Fire and Ice Walker's impression of Su Wan was also pretty good, not to mention that she was still his cousin's idol. Don't go over, let's also change a place to level up. Wufeng, who hadn't made a sound all this time, said in a low voice and then turned to leave. Ice and Fire and Wu Baobao could only quickly follow behind him. The two of them were usually brought along by Wufeng to level up and didn't understand the common sense of the game too much. Just now, Wufeng observed for a long time and discovered that although Su Chengwanyu was a priest, the speed at which she farmed monsters was not slower than a mage. Moreover, when a mage lures monsters, they don't dare to lure too many at once because their health is low. But a priest is different. Su Chengwanyu can heal herself at any time, so she can unscrupulously keep luring monsters. Calculating like this, the experience that she gets by herself is actually much more than what they get by teaming up with them. Huaxia District 6, Eternal Night Guild. Although Su Rui had a record of not going online for a few days, his level was still far ahead of other players. And now, after going online again, Su Rui was even more frenzied as he reached the level 80 map in the wild. This was currently Ling Shen's highest level map. Seeing that leader Darren's level had already risen 2 levels in a row today to the level 72 that people have no choice but to look up to, the entire guild channel boiled over Delicate and Pretty Beauty. What's wrong with leader Darren? How about not going online for 3 days, and then going online to rise 3 levels in a row? Chu Yun Poet. Leader Darren is formidable. Melancholic Sheep. I checked the leader Darren's coordinates. He's actually in the level 80 map in the wild. Truly too amazing. Delicate and Pretty Beauty. 9494. With such a greasy leader Darren. Wait until we cross the district, then our eternal night will be invincible. Chu Yun Poet. Why is Little Hands so quiet today? Ice Cold Little Hands. Ice Cold Little Hands, who just went online, expressed, I just want to be a quiet, handsome man. Delicate and Pretty Beauty. Little Hands, your great aunt came? Ice Cold Little Hands. Inexplicably thinking of the encounter in the supermarket. What to do? As if possessed by ghosts and gods, Ice Cold Little Hands typed a line of words in the guild channel, Ice Cold Little Hands. I bumped into Su Chengwanyu. Delicate and Pretty Beauty? Night Rain. Wind? Melancholic Sheep. Leader Darren appeared again. Delicate and Pretty Beauty. capturing a domineering leader Darren alive. Chuyan poet. Hello leader Darren. It's been hard on the leader Darren to level up. At this time, because Su Rue once again disorderly entered, the originally lively guild channel boiled over even more. In addition to these few talkative people, other guild members who lurked all year round also began to bubble. Looking at the guild channel that was flooded, Su Rue frowned. He opened the guild member list, found ice-cold little hands, and immediately sent a private chat Night Rain. Where did you meet Su Chungwanyu? Chapter 73. As a core member of the Eternal Night Guild, Ice-Cold Little Hands naturally had Su Rue as a friend. But it had been almost 4 months since the server opened, and he had never received a private message from the guild leader. Today was the first time he received a private message from the guild leader, Night Rain. Where did you meet Su Chungwanyu? Little icy cold hands stared at that sentence for a long time, and for a moment, his hands really felt cold. How should I answer? If he spoke the truth, would he be silenced by the guild leader? Randomly make up a story to fool them? If the president found out about this in the future, would he bring up the past? After a few seconds of mental struggle, Ice-Cold Little Hands quickly thought of an excuse and replied to Su Rue. Ice-Cold Little Hands. My family is from Lijiang City. I accidentally saw her a few days ago on the streets. Night Rain. You know her? Su Rue's reply was very quick. Although Su Chungwanyu was considered a celebrity in the entire Huaxia region, other than the people in the 4th district who had seen her in person, very few people in the other districts recognized her. Hearing Little Hands say that he was from Lijiang, Su Rue already believed his words. It's just that Su Rue went through the plot in his mind once and didn't discover that in this world, Ice-Cold Little Hands and the original Su Wan knew each other. What was going on? Seeing Su Rue's reply, Little Hand hesitated for a moment before quickly replying. Ice-Cold Little Hands. I don't know her, but my younger brother is in the 4th district's Wolf's Fong Guild. He knows Su Chungwanyu. Night Rain. People from Wolf's Fong? Pursued and killed Su Chungwanyu? Ice-Cold Little Hands. No, absolutely not. Although he couldn't see the guild leader's expression, when he thought of the guild leader's cold and sharp gaze in the supermarket that day, Little Icy Cold Hands felt as if his heart had been pierced through. So when he heard Su Rue's question, he immediately denied it. Thinking about it, Ice-Cold Little Hands couldn't help but send Su Rue a message. Little Icy Cold Hands. My brother and I are both peace-loving players. He would never kill anyone. Night Rain. Oh Night Rain. Tell him to quit Wolf's Teeth. Leaving the last sentence, Su Rue went offline again. Ice-Cold Little Hands. President, what did you mean by that last sentence? Could it be that you want to, for some reason? Little Icy Cold Hands shivered. His eyes flashed, and he quickly logged out of the game. Frantically farming experience for a day in the underground palace. When Su Wan went offline, her game character was already level 53. Exiting the game connection, Su Wan moved her slightly stiff limbs. When she came out of the bedroom, she unsurprisingly saw Su Rue busying himself in the kitchen. These few days, he didn't personally cook, but our family's young master Situ poached the head chef of the biggest hotel in Lijiang City. As a matter of fact, the 5-star chef was cooking while he, the young master, was happily assisting the chef. Seeing Su Rue wearing an apron and running around in the kitchen, Su Wan couldn't help but smile. This was the first time she felt that there was nothing bad about being in the same world as Su Rue, even if she had to split a portion of the points. Of course, whether he could get the points from her or not was another matter. The two people's dinner consisted of 4 dishes and 1 soup. It was nutritious and exceptionally delicious. After eating, the two people found a comfortable position to nestle on the sofa. Su Rue wanted to watch a TV series, while Su Wan lazily held her tablet and absent-mindedly operated her stock account. After this period of short-term operation, Su Wan's account already had millions of deposits, and now she invested most of her net worth into TX's stocks. After Lingshan crosses servers, TX company's stocks will rise wildly, and at that time, because they saw the huge potential and unlimited business opportunities, their group will stop selling their stocks. Moreover, they will buy back the stocks scattered in the hands of small shareholders at a price higher than the market price by 30%. At that time, these stocks will truly not be exchanged for even 1,000 gold coins. The next day, Suwon was still farming monsters on the first floor of the underground palace. Today, she saw Windless and the other two people again. Everyone greeted each other. Suwon thought that the three of them would still be farming monsters at another location like yesterday. Who knew that after greeting each other, Windless would unexpectedly come to Suwon's side. While brandishing his blade to repel the small monsters beside him, Windless issued an invitation to Suwon at the same time. Phoenix Dances in the Ninth Heavens Guild leader, Windless, has sent you an invitation to join. Do you want to join? Suwon only noticed the brand new guild title on top of Windless' head at this time. You guys set up your own guild? Suwon had no impression of this guild name. Presumably, this should be the guild they set up themselves. Yes, Xiaowu wants to set up a guild to play. Windless heard Suwon's words and replied in a low voice. This may be the so-called butterfly effect. In the original plot, when Dancing Baby entered Lingshan, the original owner Suwon already deleted her account and didn't play anymore. Knowing that her idol quit the server, Dancing Baby lacked interest and didn't play for a few days before leaving the game. And Binghua Walker, who always played well with her, also followed Dancing Baby and quit the server to play other games. Among the three people, only Windless, who was used to playing alone, was left. He persisted until the end, but because of his personality, he never joined any guild, let alone set up his own guild. And now, Suwon was still in the game. Dancing Baby and the others were also there. Under Dancing Baby's persuasion, Windless established his own guild, Phoenix Dances in the Ninth Heaven. In front of numerous domineering guilds, they were a weak and small new guild. But it was this guild that was not looked upon favorably by everyone. In the near future, it will dominate the entire server. If you are willing to join, I can transfer the guild leader position to you. Windless once again said beside Suwon. In fact, he originally planned to let his younger sister be the guild leader because the name of this guild was very suitable for a female guild leader. Unfortunately, Xiaowu really didn't have any interest. Moreover, her level was low and her reputation wasn't prominent. She was also a student. Once she became the guild leader, it would be very difficult for the guild to recruit members. In desperation, Windless could only become the guild leader himself. And now, he had an even better choice. In Windless' view, Su Chengwanyu was very suitable to be the guild leader. She had many years of experience managing guilds and was also famous in District 4. Now, her level was also not low. He believed that as long as she opened her mouth to recruit people, there would still be a portion of scattered players willing to join this new guild. I can join the guild, but the guild leader is out of the question. You think highly of me. Let me be the vice guild leader. While speaking, Suwon already accepted Windless' invitation. She really needed a guild and a group of trustworthy people. Windless' invitation came at the right time. At this moment, a weak male voice rang out from behind the two of them. Suwon turned her head and saw ice-cold small feet and ends of the earth standing not too far away. Can we join your guild? Ice-cold small feet's voice was somewhat lacking in confidence. Suwon didn't recognize them, but Windless remembered these two people. If he didn't remember wrongly, these two people were still members of Wolf's Fong yesterday. Even if they quit Wolf's Fong, it was impossible for the current Windless to add former Wolf's Fong members into his guild. Because when he first established the guild, his younger sister's only request was that after the guild reached level 3, he must list Wolf's Fong and Shirtion, these two major guilds, as his own guild's enemy guild. Won't rest until one side is dead. Seeing that Windless silently left and didn't even look at him, ice-cold small feet turned around and looked at Suwon with sparkling eyes. Su Chengwanyu, accept us. It was my older brother who told me to come and seek shelter with you. Your older brother? Suwon continued to fight monsters and chat at the same time. When ice-cold small feet heard Suwon ask about his older brother, he immediately excitedly said, My older brother is called Ice-Cold Small Hands. He's in District Six's Eternal Night Guild. He's Night Rain's guild leader's good friend. It was him who told me to come and find you. Please accept the two of us. Ice-Cold Small Hands. Suwon knew that there was such a person in Su Rui's guild. It seems that the other party didn't lie. And in this world, other than the people that Su Rui knew, there really wasn't anyone else who knew about her relationship with Su Rue. Only Su Rue's good friend? Chapter 74. In the end, Suwon still added ice-cold little hands and ends of the earth into the guild. Seeing the two people entering the guild, Windless was somewhat surprised at first. Later, Suwon told him that she knew these two people and could trust them, so Windless didn't say anything. Right now, there were only 6 of them in the guild. Seeing Suwon enter the guild, the happiest was Dancing Baby. She originally had no intention of leveling, so she simply left the team and returned to the main city, starting to use the loudspeaker to recruit new people in the world channel. The remaining 5 people just happened to form a small team. 2 mages, 2 priests, 1 warrior. This was the best configuration to farm experience. Apart from Fiery Ice Walker, the other 4 people were all old players. Regarding how to carry out the best team coordination, everyone had a clear idea. Small ice-cold little feet, as a fire mage and Fiery Ice Walker. The 2 people split into 2 paths and began to infinitely attract monsters on the map. Windless served as the main MT responsible for resisting monsters and attracting aggro. Suwon and Ends of the Earth, the 2 priests, were responsible for healing Windless from time to time. The 5 people slowly got used to each other and gradually cooperated seamlessly. After farming for an hour, because their levels increased, they left the first floor of the Underground Palace and entered the second floor of the Underground Palace. At this time, the Phoenix Dances Guild's channel was also extraordinarily lively, because Dancing Baby generously kept using gold coins and props to recruit people in the world channel. She really did find some scattered players. When these 3 players entered the guild and saw that the guild leader was Windless, they first froze for a moment. Because among the scattered players, Windless had a very high reputation, and now that he created his own guild, everyone was still very optimistic about the prospects of this guild. Immediately, there were sharp-eyed people who discovered that the vice leader of the guild was impressively Su Changwon-yu. Everyone immediately lost their composure. Who is Su Changwon-yu? That was once Shirtyan's vice leader, a place that was below 1 person and above tens of thousands of people. Don't look at how she had been turned white before, but now, she actually rushed to level 55 again. And everyone knew that her character still retained the high-level priest skills that she originally obtained when Shirtyan opened the dungeon. For a time, the guild's newcomers spread from 1 to 10, 10 to 100. Very soon, the entire Huaxia District 4 knew that Windless established a guild and the guild's vice leader was Su Changwon-yu. Regarding this, Wolfsfang and Shirtyan didn't express any opinion. Seeing that Wolfsfang and Shirtyan didn't have the intention to pursue the matter, those second-line guild's guild leaders began to secretly regret. If they knew that Su Changwon-yu's comeback would be so easy, they should have made the first move to gain the upper hand. As a result, Suwon's game mailbox was once again flooded. Suwon, who was currently farming experience, simply didn't have time to look and directly block them. Meanwhile, on the guild side, as an elder, Dancing Baby's hands had grown tired of accepting new members. Unfortunately, a level 1 guild could only have a maximum of 100 members. Hence, the guild was quickly filled to the brim. On the other hand, she was very satisfied with organizing everyone to do guild quests together. This way, they would be able to quickly rise to a level 2 guild and increase the number of members from the original 100 to 300. A newly formed guild was like a newly established chat group, always very lively. Although they knew that Suwon, Windless, and the others were farming experience in the Underground Palace and didn't have time to chat, the guild's newcomers still entertained themselves and chatted happily in the guild channel. Icy Cold Small Feet, who had always liked to join in on the fun, took advantage of the gap of just eliminating a group of monsters and secretly glanced at the guild channel. As a result, he saw that everyone was YY about Su Changwon-yu and Windless' relationship. All kinds of guesses, all kinds of jokes, and all kinds of together comments. This made Icy Cold Small Feet couldn't help but slip, and his entire person almost fell to the ground. A group of mortals actually still dared to make presumptuous guesses. You guys are definitely tired of living. Remembering the Eternal Night Guild's guild leader that he had met once, Icy Cold Small Feet turned around and secretly sized up Windless. Although Windless was also quite handsome, after all, He was young and didn't have any imposing manner. Compared to Night Rain, he was immediately defeated, right? Moreover, Icy Cold Small Feet also heard his older brother say last night that their guild leader was getting more and more insane. If Night Rain knew these people's thoughts, Icy Cold Small Feet felt that these people would definitely die very miserably, miserably. The five-person team kept farming on the second floor of the underground palace until they went offline at night. Suwon was already level 57 at this time. Binghua Walker was level 56. Ends of the Earth and Icy Cold Small Feet had also entered the ranks of level 60. Windless was level 59, still lacking a large amount of experience from advancing to 60. The five people agreed on the time to go online the next day and went offline together. Today, they farmed for a day, and Suwon had been maintaining high-intensity output and replenishment. Coming out of the game connection chamber, Suwon's complexion was a bit pale. She had to say that in this mission world, not only did her ex-girlfriend's hardware equipment not pass, even the software was a lot worse than Surue's. This kind of high-intensity continuous online really wasn't what an average girl could bear. Because she was really too tired, Suwon filled a bathtub full of hot water in the bathroom of the room. She planned to take a bath first to relieve her fatigue. As a result, she unknowingly fell asleep while soaking. By the time Suwon woke up, she discovered that she had already returned to the bed in the bedroom. She had already changed into clean pajamas, and Surue was leaning over her bedside. Her hand was still tightly held in Surue's palm. Suwon didn't pull out her hand. She just slightly turned her face to the side and quietly looked at Surue's sleeping appearance with the help of the faint wall lamp at the head of the bed. When he was sleeping, that tranquil posture was like a flawless and innocent child. It was very hard for people to imagine that he was once a homicidal maniac. Or perhaps, in Surue's world, right and wrong, good and evil had always been particularly simple and pure. What he loved, he would use everything to protect. What he hated, he would use all means to destroy it and make it disappear. Surue, if you could always be like this, how good would that be? You shouldn't like me. I'm not worthy of your love. Suwon felt that she wasn't worthy of Surue's infatuation. She wasn't a pure person. She had done a lot of unscrupulous things that went against her conscience. And when she did those things, she wasn't as simple and straightforward as Surue. Her heart had been dyed into a pitch-black color a long time ago, a black that couldn't be washed away no matter how much she washed it. I'm not happy. I don't want anyone to be happy. This is me, Suwon. Suwon softly sighed. The weak sigh couldn't escape Surue's sharp ears. He slowly woke up and his confused eyes met Suwon's gaze. You're awake? Surue said while raising his hand. His slender and powerful big hand very naturally caressed Suwon's long hair. In this world, Suwon's hair was long and straight, especially smooth to the touch. Thank you. Suwon didn't avoid Surue's hand and instead thanked him in a low voice. You're too tired, you need to rest. Surue didn't like to hear Suwon say thank you to him. He focused his gaze and his tone was especially serious. I know you're very capable, Suwon. But in the online world, your abilities and talents are limited by objective conditions. Now isn't the time for you to show off. You still have me. Everything is fine if you rely on me. I won't rely on anyone. Suwon's cold gaze looked at Surue and her tone became somewhat bitingly cold. But I can use anyone. In this world, other than herself, she couldn't rely on anyone else. Because when relying on someone becomes a habit that you can't get rid of, that person will become your everything in life. You'll be happy because he's happy and sad because he's sad. When one day, he leaves without looking back, who can you still rely on? Suwon had experienced that kind of despair before. It was an unforgettable experience. She admitted that she was a coward. Because she was ruthlessly hurt, the current her didn't dare to believe in any feelings and was also unwilling to give a trace of sincerity. She had long been afraid. Being stared at coldly by Suwon, Surue just indifferently smiled. It's fine if you don't rely on me. You're welcome to use me at any time. If you're willing, you must use me for a lifetime. No matter how cold and inhuman she pretended to be, Surue's perception had always been extraordinarily strong. In that moment just now, he captured the fear and panic in Suwon's emotions. She was afraid of his approach. She was terrified of this feeling. This made Su Rue feel a bit distressed. Sometimes, we always meet the wrong person at the right time. And at the wrong time, we will meet the truly right person by some strange coincidence. And at that time, do you still have the strength and courage to courageously love again? A moth flies into a flame at the cost of its life. If that moth had the chance to be reborn, would it still throw itself into the sea of fire without hesitation? Chapter 75. Before Lingxing Game updated the cross-server channel, Suwon finally rose to level 60. The 5-person team that farmed experience together finally got the chance to rest. Winless went offline because of some private matters. Ice-Cold Small Feet and Binghua Walker couldn't wait to join the guild channel and chat with other guild members. Of course, the main content of the chat was mainly flirting, harmoniously, with beauties. Ends of the Earth, who spoke as little as Windless, silently went to complete a mission by himself. He and Ice-Cold Small Feet were classmates in real life. Regarding that guy's degree of derailing, he had long since known in detail. Suwon also continued to do some main and side missions outside the city. After finishing those missions that had been put aside for a long time, she went offline early. Tomorrow was the day the game system was updated and upgraded. She could have a good rest for a day. This was the first time Suwon went offline earlier than Su Rue. The temperature in Lijiang City was getting colder day by day. When Suwon walked to the living room, she unexpectedly saw sporadic snowflakes floating outside the living room window. It's snowing. Suwon involuntarily walked to the window and looked at the snowflakes fluttering in the air. Her expression was especially serene. When Su Rue came out of the guest room, he saw Suwon standing quietly by the window. She didn't know how long she had been standing there. Her whole body was filled with a lonely aura. Hungry? I'll call the chef to come over in advance. Su Rue walked behind Suwon. As he spoke, he raised his hand to hold her shoulders. Suwon just happened to turn around at this time. Let's go out for a walk today and eat outside on the way. Regarding Suwon's proposal, Su Rue never refused. So after the two people dressed neatly, they went downstairs together. In the vast expanse of white flying snow, the two people walked side by side on the cold street, their steps slow and the atmosphere harmonious. After walking for a while, a layer of sparkling and translucent white snow had fallen on top of the two people's heads. Taking advantage of waiting for the traffic light, Su Rue turned around and raised his hand to sweep the white snow on Suwon's head. Suwon also tiptoed and swept the snow-white snow on Su Rue's shoulder. The two people were very close to each other. The white air they exhaled entangled together. Seeing that Suwon's fingers were frozen red, Su Rue couldn't help but use his big hand to tightly hold Suwon's hand in his palm. Suwon didn't say anything and quietly followed Su Rue. She let him lead her across the road and let him lead her hand into a couple's restaurant. Until Su Rue finished ordering, Suwon still had a tranquil look on her face. "You're so quiet today." Su Rue looked at Suwon and whispered, "Is something on your mind?" "No. I'm always this quiet when I want to scheme against others." Suwon suddenly gave Su Rue a brilliant smile. Seeing her smile, Su Rue couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. "Are you planning to settle the score with Di Tian and Hui Mao Xiao?" "Yeah. I've waited too long for this opportunity." Suwon supported her cheek with one hand and turned her head to look at Su Rue on the other side of the table. After tomorrow's update, Huaxia's 8 major districts will realize information sharing, and the underground Imperial Palace is the first instance that all guilds want to snatch. Will you participate? The underground Imperial Palace was the new level 60 instance that appeared after the last system update. It was currently the highest level and most difficult instance in Lingxin. Su Rue's gaze flickered and the corner of his mouth curled up. "What? You want that first kill?" "That's right." Suwon nodded. "I want the first kill. Of course, what I want the most is actually that special skill in the first kill reward." "Then I wish you success." Su Rue raised his eyebrows at Suwon, his voice carrying a trace of joy. Suwon lowered her eyes and raised them again after a moment. She smiled and looked at Su Rue. "This time, I still need you to help me with something. Of course, you can raise your conditions." "Any conditions?" Su Rue slightly leaned forward, narrowed his eyes, and dangerously looked at Su Wan. Su Wan somewhat fearlessly looked back at Su Rue. What do you want? In? Eh. Su Rue leaned against the chair and looked at Su Wan helplessly. Forget it. I can't think of it now. I'll think of it later. Okay. Su Wan lightly lowered her eyelids, hiding the smile in her eyes. The two people ordered a couple-set meal. After eating, it was already very late. The snow was getting heavier and the entire street was a vast expanse of whiteness. Coming out of the restaurant, facing the biting cold wind and the sky full of fluttering snow, Su Rue's gaze was absent-minded for a moment. Some distant and fuzzy memories flashed through Su Rue's mind. He suddenly pulled Su Wan's hand and looked at her vaguely. I'll carry you home, okay? As he spoke, he had already gently bent down. Su Wan did not answer and wordlessly jumped onto Su Rue's back. Facing the wind and snow, Su Rue was silent the whole way, leaving behind a string of footprints in the snow. Su Wan stuck her face on Su Rue's back and a pair of hands tightly hugged his neck. The world was silent. Su Wan felt as if she could hear Su Rue's heartbeat. Beat, 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 especially powerful heartbeat. Su Rue. Not knowing how long had passed, Su Wan suddenly spoke in a low voice. Because her face was still buried in his back, Su Wan's voice was muffled right now. Are you thinking of your sister? Sister. A distant yet familiar word. Su Rue's footsteps slightly paused, and finally continued to stride forward. I know. Sister actually died a long time ago. In the cold wind, Su Rue's voice was somewhat dull and low. After entering the lost space, he had actually looked up all the plots of the plane he was in. I don't like Xinyuan Rue. He doesn't give people a good feeling. I just simply want to protect Sister, just like how she protected me when I was a child. However, she doesn't seem to like my protection. Speaking of his sister, Su Rue's face was somewhat gloomy. His perception was sharper than anyone else since he was a child. At that time, his father was strict and his mother was indifferent. The only thing that made him feel warm and comfortable was his sister's care and love. The little Su Rue swore in his heart that he would properly protect his sister for the rest of his life. But then Xinyuan Rue appeared. Sister fell in love with Xinyuan Rue. That was a seemingly gentle and refined prince. Su Rue did not like him. Even Su Rue had vaguely foreseen that his sister would not be happy with him. He did everything he could to prevent his sister from being together with him. As a result, his sister began to alienate and loathe him. His father's attitude towards him became even more indifferent. Even his mother, who didn't care about him all year round, also sided him. Slowly, Su Rue began to give up. He thought that even if he was alone in this life, he could still continue to live, right? So in the following years, Su Rue became more and more indifferent, more and more ruthless, more and more paranoid. Until Su Wan appeared. Perhaps in everyone's life, there will be such a person. He or she will appear inadvertently and then quietly leave. Obviously, it's only a short period of time, but that instant of palpitation and heartbeat can make you remember it for a lifetime. Su Wan in Su Rue's life was such a role. Chapter 76. Lingshan World's highly anticipated cross-district passage was finally opened. When Su Wan went online again, the entire World Channel was in full swing discussing which District Supreme Guild would get the first kill of the underground Imperial Palace dungeon. It must be known that this was the first kill after the information was shared. No matter which guild got it, it would be a gargantuan honor. After Su Wan went online, she saw that Windless was also online. She immediately contacted Windless and talked about the dungeon. Windless was still very unfamiliar with the underground Imperial Palace dungeon. Because he had never entered it, he didn't know how troublesome it was inside. Therefore, Windless was full of confidence in this dungeon. He immediately pulled up the team, still the original 5 people. When everyone followed the team leader and teleported to the entrance of the underground Imperial Palace dungeon, Fire Ice Walker was immediately shocked by the sea of people in front of him. And Dancing Baby, who used a teleportation scroll to come and watch the excitement, widened her eyes even more and couldn't help but exclaim, Heavens! 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 Why are there so many people? Right now, the elite members of Huasia's 4 districts that could be called out with their names were basically all present. Among the large group of people, Di Shirtian was still the most dazzling one, and Hui Maui Shao followed at Di Shirtian's side, holding a bottle of yogurt with a confused face and drinking with gusto with a bottle of yogurt with a little penguin drawn on it. That was a special blood-replenishing prop in Lingshan world. On normal days, very few people used it to replenish blood, but this thing looked very cute and was very popular with little girls. As for Hui Maui Shao, who was no longer a little girl, she actually also had such an innocent and pure side. Regarding this, Suwon only wanted to laugh. Wan Yu Jiejie? She had to say that between women and women, especially between current girlfriends and ex-girlfriends, there seemed to be a telepathic connection. Suwon only glanced at Hui Maui Shao in the crowd and was immediately discovered by the naturally confused Hui Maui Shao. She loudly called out, and with a smile on her face, she bounced in front of Suwon. Wan Yu Jiejie, you guys also came to do the dungeon? This dungeon is very difficult. Listen, what an intimate address, what a sweet voice, but you're actually mocking us for overestimating ourselves, right? And making such a loud voice. Are you afraid that others won't know that I came? Suwon lazily lifted her eyes and swept Hui Maui Shao a glance. Her tone was as indifferent as ever. If I remember correctly, I'm younger than you by a month. Hui Maui Shao right now. A lot of people in the surroundings were attracted by Hui Maui Zhao's Wan Yu Jiejie just now. There were even busybodies who immediately approached without leaving a trace, wanting to watch Di Shirtian's new love and old love from a close distance. Unfortunately, Suwon's reaction was too cold. Moreover, she's a month younger and whatnot. Goddess Wan Yu, you really are indifferently cute. Hui Maui Shao was indeed older than the original Suwon by a month, but Suwon was normally too strong, and Hui Maui Shao liked to pretend to be naive, causing everyone to feel that Hui Maui Shao was much younger than Suwon and Shirtian Guild. Right now, she was mercilessly disgraced by Suwon. Hui Maui Shao once again put on the most common delicate and pitiful appearance, as if she had suffered a huge grievance. Slightly pouting her red lips, red eyes, even her voice was trembling. So it turns out that Wan Yu Jie. No, it turns out that Wan Yu Mimi is younger than me. I never knew. Suwon really didn't like to see her pitiful appearance. She turned around and was about to leave, but Di Shirtian just happened to walk to the two people's side. Seeing his beloved little person's face full of grievance, Di Shirtian's face immediately darkened and looked at Suwon with an ice-cold gaze. Wan Yu, don't bully people too much. I've already been lenient with you. Don't force me to be ruthless. Oh. Suwon somewhat found it funny and raised her head to look at Di Shirtian. I still haven't done anything to your woman. Why are you so anxious to show your loyalty? Wait until the day I turn her white. Then it won't be too late for you to find me for revenge. Also, you're welcome to be ruthless with me. Wait. As she spoke, Suwon didn't even look at Di Shirtian and Hui Maui Shao. Without consulting anyone, she bypassed the two people. The 4 people at the side silently followed. Standing at the very back, Wu Baobao, who had been watching the bustling scene, giggled and came in front of Hui Maui Shao because she didn't need to fight the instance. She opened her mouth with a serious face and said, Auntie, can you not casually pout your mouth and pretend to be pitiful in the future? Your age is really not suitable for acting cute. Hui Maui Shao. Di Shirtian. Onlookers. Could it be that this is the legendary God's second stab? Time passed bit by bit, and the teams at the instance's entrance became fewer and fewer. Everyone was racing against time to fight, and at the same time, they also had to pay attention to the news from other regions in the World Channel. District 1 Maple Forest under the heavens. The first kill must be ours. District 1. District 1. The world's number 1. District 4. Virtuous like water. District 1 Scram. With our boss Di Shirtian here, where you cool off and stay. District 6, Delicate Beauty. Oh my. What is Di Shirtian's rank in Huaxia? If it wasn't for our family's leader Darren not being interested in this instance, you all would be dead meat. District 2, Entering the brothel at night. Beauty upstairs. Is your family's leader Darren the legendary Huaxia's number 1 Night Rain? District 1, Maple Forest under the heavens. No matter how awesome Night Rain is, he's still one person. The Underground Imperial Palace is a team instance. Looking at the team's strength, what's the use of having a powerful mouth? If you have the ability, then take the first kill. District 6, Delicate Beauty, Maple Forest, clean your mouth a bit. Do you want a duel? Come to a neutral map. If this old lady doesn't kill you 100 times, I'll change my surname to yours. District 4, Fire Ice Walker. This instance is so simple. We're all going to finish fighting. District 6, Delicate Beauty. Whose family is this, randomly entering here? District 6, Ice Cold Small Hands. District 4, Virtuous Like Water. Fuck, will you die if you don't brag? Finish my ass. Our guild has already reached 40% of the progress. This is absolutely the fastest speed in the entire Huaxia region. District 1, Maple Forest Under the Heavens. The wind is so big, aren't you afraid of twisting your tongue? Whose family's child is this? To actually talk irresponsibly. Because fighting the last big boss in the instance only required Fire Ice Walker and Ice Cold Small Feet, these two people, to attack from a distance. Under boredom, Fire Ice began to look at the world channel. As a result, he saw a large group of people discussing this underground Imperial Palace instance. Fire Ice Walker didn't know who Night Rain was, but he saw Shirtion Guild's people on the world channel. He was instinctively unhappy, so he casually sent a sentence. And this sentence of Fire Ice Walker made him the target of everyone's crusade. However, the focus of Fire Ice's attention at this time was clearly not these. Small feet, that ice-cold small hands is your older brother? Very clearly, Fire Ice Walker only noticed that ID, ice-cold small hands. How many times have I told you? Don't call me small feet, call me Liang Ji. Ice-cold small feet couldn't help but roar on the side. You too, be a bit more serious for me. Seeing that the two people were unexpectedly distracted, Ends of the Earth couldn't help but remind them. The two people immediately shut up and concentrated on fighting the boss. In fact, it was the first time for the 5 people to enter the underground Imperial Palace instance. They didn't know anything about the various traps in the labyrinth. But because they had Su Wan, this commander who was familiar with the instance's strategy, they smoothly cleared the small monsters and walked out of the labyrinth to face the last big boss. Because the 5 people's running in time wasn't short, fighting the boss was also particularly smooth. 10 minutes later, the boss was successfully beaten to the last 5% of HP by them. Su Wan, who had been healing windless the whole time, suddenly shouted, "In a while, wait until the boss has the last 1% of HP left. Everyone, don't use skills, all change to physical attacks." The boss in this instance was actually not too difficult to fight. The only abnormal place was that when it had the last 1% of HP left, once it received a magic attack, it would go berserk and release a big move, instantly recovering 80% of its HP. Hearing Su Wan's words, everyone had a clear idea in their hearts. They stared fixedly at the boss's HP. When it reached 1%, everyone switched to physical attacks. As a result, the boss's HP began to slowly decrease at the speed of -80, -85, -90 per second. 8 minutes later, the huge king of dead kings fell to the ground with a loud bang, turning into a large piece of glittering spoils of war. And at the place where he originally stood, a golden skill book floated quietly, special skill forced resurrection profession restricted to priests. At the same time, in all of Huaxia's 8 major regions world channels, a line of gilded characters flashed at the same time. World announcement. Congratulations to Huaxia District 4's Phoenix Dances in the 9th Heaven Guild for completing the Underground Palace's first kill. Team members who completed the first kill: Windless, Su Chengwanyu, Ice Cold Small Feet, Fiery Ice Walker, Ends of the Earth. The glittering golden characters floated in the air, floating in front of all the players, flashing 3 times in a row. Sure enough, important things must be said 3 times. District 4 The Matrix. I'll go. I'll go. I'll go. It's our guild. I'm not dreaming, right? District 4 Dancing Baby. Of course you're not dreaming. What does an insignificant first kill count for? Phoenix Dances in the 9th Heaven Guild is recruiting again. Entering the guild to deliver the first kill, dominating the entire server is not a dream. District 4 Virtuous Like Water. Your mother. It must be the way I typed in the World Channel today. District 1, Maple Forest World. You're not alone. District 6, Ice Cold Small Hands. Congratulations. District 4, Lone Wolf. It has to be said that right now, Lone Wolf's heart was very tangled. Originally, he also knew that his guild probably had no fate with this first kill, but in any case, he still had to fight for it. Although he didn't have a favorable impression of Tion, for the sake of District 4's honor, Lone Wolf still hoped that Tion could obtain this first kill. As a result, he guessed the beginning of the story, but he didn't guess the ending. The first kill was District 4's, but it did not belong to Tion. It belonged to Phoenix Dances in the Ninth Heaven. Chapter 77. The underground Imperial Palace Instance Dungeon was taken down, and Phoenix Dances in the Ninth Heaven Guild shocked the world with a single feat. When everyone was inquiring about this Black Horse Guild that suddenly ran out, Suwon's group of 5 had already left the instance. At this moment, the elite teams of many guilds were exiting the dungeon at the same time. Since the first clear was gone, there was no point in continuing to fight in the instance dungeon until the end. Congratulations. Lone Wolf's tall figure appeared in front of Suwon. Suwon looked at Lone Wolf's sharp silhouette and slightly raised her eyebrows. Thank you. Feeling Suwon's indifference, Lone Wolf hesitated for a bit. Your guild is about to reach level 3, right? Do you want to form an alliance with us? I reckon that Tion will definitely not let you off at that time. No need. Suwon somewhat meaningfully looked at Lone Wolf. Tion Society is our enemy guild, and so is your wolf's teeth. Why are you acting on impulse? From Lone Wolf's point of view, Suwon and him should bury the hatchet and work together. This was the best situation for everyone. I'm not acting on impulse. Your wolf's fang isn't worthy of becoming Phoenix Dance's ally. Oh? At this moment, a male voice full of mockery rang out from behind the two of them. You've only taken a first clear. Do you really think your guild is invincible? Tion walked to Suwon's side with a gloomy expression, lowering his head and looking at her coldly. You said that Wolf's Teeth is not worthy of forming an alliance with you guys? I really want to know, in your Su Changwan Yu's heart, who has this qualification to form an alliance with your Fengwu? Could it be us, Tion? I'm not interested in you. Heh. Hearing Tion's words, Suwon casually smiled. I'm not interested in a man who isn't the first in the district. The only one who is qualified to form an alliance with us is Yongyi. District 6 Eternal Night Guild, District 6 Number 1 Guild. At the same time, their guild leader was the famous leveling maniac Night Rain who had occupied the top position in all of China. In the entire Huaxia region, only a few people had truly seen the deity of Yiyu. He was far away from Jianghu, but his legend was everywhere in Jianghu. Once the cross-server channel was activated, not only would the various servers share information, but guilds from different servers could also form alliances across servers. In neutral battlefields that were opened at the same time, the allied guilds could attack and occupy the fortresses on the battlefields together, using them as strongholds for both sides. Yongya. Sakura knew Eternal Night and knew Night Rain even more. According to his understanding, Eternal Night had never formed an alliance with any guild, and Night Rain rarely appeared in front of everyone. His gaming life seemed to be nothing but leveling and leveling. He simply didn't care about anything else in the game. At this time, in Tion's opinion, Suwon wanting to form an alliance with Eternal Night was simply an idiot's ravings. Most of the surrounding onlookers had the same view as Tion. There were even some meddlesome members of Tion Guild who recorded the conversation between Suwon and Tion and immediately posted it on the official website of Lingshan Huaxia Rija. How arrogant. The Dark Horse Guild, Phoenix Dances at Ninth Heaven, was attempting to stand shoulder to shoulder with Evernight. At this time, Phoenix Dances in the Ninth Heaven was in the eye of the storm, and Eternal Night had always been low-key and mysterious. Now that this post had linked the two eye-catching guilds together, the post immediately became a hot topic. Those people who were dissatisfied with Phoenix Dances in the Ninth Heaven, snatching the first kill, seemed to have found an outlet to vent, and all went to the forum to leave messages to vent. At this time, They still didn't know how long it would take before they would be slapped in the face by the cruel reality, pa pa pa. And what was waiting for them was not only these. Eternal Knight's leader Darren will use practical actions to tell them what it means to vent for a moment, and the whole family will be buried in the crematorium. The underground Imperial Palace's first kill was of great significance to Phoenix Dance's guild. At this time, all the members of the guild were extremely excited because the guild was about to rise to level 3. Suwon just happened to encourage everyone at this time to work hard and actively do guild tasks. As long as the guild is promoted to level 3 before 4:00 this afternoon, I will invite everyone to watch a big show. Leaving this sentence in the guild channel, Suwon immediately joined the ranks of doing guild tasks. 2 hours later, Player Night Rain requests to add you as a friend. Do you accept? A friend invitation suddenly popped up from Suwon's mailbox. At this time, Suwon was doing a task in the guild's quarry. Seeing Night Rain's name, she immediately clicked accept. A second later, she received Su Rue's voice invitation. I can finally talk to you in the game. As soon as the voice connected, Su Rue's voice impatiently rang in Suwon's ear. I'm on the neutral map right now. Do you want to come? I'm on the guild map. Temporarily can't go over. Our guild is going to be promoted to level 3 today. Suwon was collecting stones while chatting with Su Rue. Oh. Hearing Suwon's words, Su Rue was slightly disappointed, but then he spoke again. I saw the world announcement. Congratulations. When you guys are promoted to level 3, let's form an alliance. I'll give you a big congratulatory gift. What big gift, Suwon just casually asked. She reckoned that Su Rue was planning to bring her to level up or help her kill Di Shirtion on the neutral battlefield. It's a secret for now. Unexpectedly, Su Rue kept her in suspense and made it mysterious. Tisk, Suwon sked. At this time, a letter popped up in her private mailbox again. It was sent by Wu Baobao. It turned out that the guild task's completion rate was up to standard, and the guild's resources were also enough to promote to level 3. Sure enough, today everyone was like they were injected with chicken blood and were particularly motivated. Our task is completed. Immediately promote to level 3. Suwon couldn't help but tell this good news to Su Rue at the first moment. Really? Su Rue's voice also seemed very happy. Then you can come to find me in a while, right? No. Suwon denied Su Rue's question. I want to go and kill someone first. Kill someone? Is it Hui Mao Yishao? Although he was asking her, Su Rue's tone was unspeakably certain. That's right. I'm going to kill someone first. See you offline in a while. Speaking, Suwon closed the voice. She directly used a scroll to return to the city. After that, Suwon sent a friend request to Hui Mao Yishao. As expected, Hui Mao Yishao accepted her friend request. Su Chengwan Yu. I want to talk to you alone. You decide on the location. Hui Mao Yishao. Okay. Not long after, Hui Mao Yishao sent Suwon a coordinate. Looking at the coordinates, Suwon faintly smiled. Turning her head, she sent the coordinates to the guild channel, Su Chengwan Yu. Everyone gather at this place. Pay attention to concealment. There's a good show to watch. After sending this sentence, Suwon sent a private chat to Ice Cold Small Feet and told him to immediately teleport over and find the best position to open the recording function from God's perspective, recording everything that will happen later. After doing all this, Suwon then bought a location teleportation scroll from the merchant shop and entered the coordinates that Hui Mao Yishao sent. When she teleported over, she saw Hui Mao Yishao sitting by the lakeside in a daze. She had been waiting here for a long time. No, it should be said that ever since coming out of the instance and after Di Shirtion went offline, Hui Mao Yishao had been sitting here in a daze. She had no sense of direction and didn't know the way. The reason why she could find Silver Moon Lakeside was because this was the place that Di Shirtion often brought her to. And just now, when Suwon sent her a message to let her set the location, Hui Mao Yishao directly sent her coordinates. Right now, seeing the figure that Suwon teleported over, Hui Mao Yishao immediately stood up, tightly pursed her lips and looked at Suwon with a pale complexion. Suwon unhurriedly walked to a place 5 steps away from Hui Mao Yishao and stood still, meaningfully looking at her. Do you know why I looked for you? I know. As if she had made a very big decision, Hui Mao Yishao's eyes were red and her gaze was brimming with tears as she looked at Suwon. I know that you want me to leave Tian Gij. You took the instance's first kill. Didn't you want to prove to him that you're more suitable for him than me? Su-won. Chapter 78. By the sparkling silver moon lake, Su-won and Huimao Yishao quietly looked at each other. Ice-cold small feet, who had just teleported over, saw the two people by the lake from afar. Taking advantage that he wasn't discovered, he immediately found a big tree by the lake and hid behind the tree, directly opening the video recording function. Right now, Huimao Yishao didn't know that she was being recorded. She saw that Su-won didn't speak and even looked at her with a face full of ridicule. This made Huimao Yishao feel especially uncomfortable in her heart, so she opened her mouth again. I know, in your heart, and even in many people's hearts, you all feel that I'm not worthy of Tian Gij. You all feel that my awareness isn't good, my operation isn't up to standard, and I'm not suitable to play online games. But love can't be forced. Tian Gij said that from the first time he saw me, he liked me. I also like him. I just want to quietly accompany him, give him happiness, let him be happy. Why are you not willing to let us go? Hee. Su-won dryly laughed twice. First, I never thought of destroying you two. Don't say that you two are free to love, even if you get married and have children. What does it have to do with me? Second, you said that you fell in love at first sight? Mutual affection? I remember that at that time, I was still Shirtyin's vice president and president's wife, right? It turns out that you two hooked up from the beginning. It really surprised me, As she spoke, Su-won also made a very exaggerated expression of surprise. No, it's not. We just couldn't help ourselves. Tian Gij said that he never loved you. Hearing Su-won's words, Huimao Yishao immediately anxiously defended herself, her entire face making an expression as if she was about to cry. Oh, Tian said that? What a coincidence. I also never loved him. As she spoke, Su-won once again took a step forward like a caring elder sister, her tone gentle. I don't know what Tian said to you. We've known each other for 5 years. He said that we can only play in the game and not have true feelings. So even though he and I were once called the model couple, nothing actually happened between me and him, not even holding hands. But looking at your appearance, you two must already be very close, right? As she spoke, Su-won narrowed her eyes and stared at Huimao Yishao's face. Huimao Yishao's face reddened and immediately avoided Su-won's line of sight. No, there's no such thing. Oh, that's great. Sakura used to show off to me how many girls he had slept with. I was really afraid that you would. This is impossible. Huimao Yishao suddenly excitedly interrupted Su-won's words. Tian Gij isn't that kind of person. He said that I was his first. Seeming to realize her own slip of the tongue, Huimao Yishao tightly closed her mouth and lowered her head. What a foolish woman. Su-won smiled. Maybe he's really serious about you. I sincerely wish you all the best. What? Huimao Yishao dazedly lifted her eyes and looked at Su-won incredulously. Didn't you come to force me to break up with him? Why do you think I would force you to break up? I really don't like Tian. Furthermore, I already have someone I like, and he's also in this game. When the marriage system opens, we'll get married. Su-won looked at Huimao Yishao with a sincere face. Every word and sentence was especially earnest and sincere. Really? Who is it? Huimao Yishao still refused to believe Su-won. It was as if she wanted to break the pot and ask to the end, until she personally exposed Su-won's clumsy lie. He's very low-key and doesn't like to announce our identity everywhere. But maybe you'll know after a few days. Mentioning the person she liked, Su-won's gaze also softened. That kind of expression didn't seem like she was lying at all. Huimao Yishao was absent-minded for a moment and subconsciously opened her mouth. Then why did you look for me today? Jianghu's grievances are Jianghu's. Su-won smiled and lifted her priest's staff. At that time, because of you, I was issued a wanted order by Tian and was chased by a group of people 5 times. The one who tied the bell should untie the bell. Since the matter started because of you, it will end with you. As she spoke, Su-won already started chanting the priest level 60 skill, Heaven's Punishment. Along with the white lightning striking down, Hui Maui Zhao's health kept decreasing. She had never PK with others before. In a panic, Hui Maui Xiao actually forgot that she could heal herself. She turned around and wanted to escape, and Suwon immediately released deceleration and weakening. Afterwards, she released Holy Light Technique and Light Bullet Technique at Hui Maui Xiao. Priests originally had low defense and little health. In an instant, Hui Maui Zhao's health bar hit rock bottom. At this time, she only thought of healing herself. Unfortunately, everything was too late. Suwon followed up by releasing several light bullet techniques in a row, directly hitting Hui Maui Zhao's health to nothing. Going to die? Hui Maui Xiao only felt her vision go black. When she opened her eyes again, what she saw wasn't the resurrection point in the city, but rather a smiling Suwon. This is Suwon smiled and once again used Holy Light Technique and Light Bullet Technique on Hui Maui Xiao. Hui Maui Xiao once again laid on the ground. Then, she was once again revived by Suwon using Forced Resurrection and recovered 20% of her health. Only, this health seemed especially insignificant under Suwon's continuous attacks. Just like this, Suwon used Forced Resurrection on Hui Maui Xiao again and again, and killed her again and again. At this time, there were already a lot of people at Silver Moon Lake. A lot of people were from Phoenix dances in the Ninth Heaven Guild. As for the others, some were purely passing by, and some were people from other guilds. Suwon simply didn't care about the onlookers. Her expression was indifferent the whole time, and she continuously released skills. In less than 10 minutes, Hui Maui Xiao turned white and directly killed her to level 10. Her speed really made people speechless. The equipment that fell on the ground, Suwon also didn't go to pick it up. The level 10 Hui Maui Xiao was already at the novice protection level. Right now, she looked at Suwon with a face full of resentment. Su Chung Wanyu, what kind of skill is it to kill me? If you have the ability, go kill Di Shi Tian. Wait until I'm level 70, I'll go kill him. Speaking till here, Suwon calmly put away her priest staff. I don't have any skill. To kill you, a level 70 priest, I actually used more than 8 minutes. Truly a disgrace for priests, You. Hui Maui Xiao could hear that Suwon was ridiculing her no matter how stupid she was. My level is higher than yours, but I never kill people. Wrong. Right now your level is much lower than mine, and... Suwon narrowed her eyes, her gaze sharp as she looked at Hui Maui Xiao. You never kill people, isn't it because you can't kill anyone? If your skills really pass, I believe that the people you've killed will not be less than me. No, impossible. I'm not the same as you. Su Chung Wanyu, you homicidal maniac. As if she was confused by Suwon's anger, Hui Maui Xiao didn't care that much and directly rushed at Suwon to curse. Homicidal maniac? Hui Maui Xiao, why do you always want to push yourself to the moral high ground? Speaking till here, Suwon turned around and looked at those onlookers who were crowding at the side but didn't dare to come forward. Everyone plays games to be happy. If you don't PK, what passion is there? Everyone is an adult and not mentally unsound primary school students. Who hasn't killed people in guild battles? Don't tell me that everyone present is also a homicidal maniac? Hearing Suwon's words, everyone around looked at each other in dismay. Indeed, who hasn't killed people in games? Who hasn't been killed before? What's the big deal about this? In online games, this is the most common thing, okay? At that time, I was just angry that I was abandoned by everyone in Shirtion. So what if I killed you twice? Hui Maui Xiao, you wanted to kill your way back yourself. I, Su Chung Wanyu, have nothing to say, but you relied on pillow talk to make Di Shi Tian and Lone Wolf chase after me and even issued a kill order. You're really amazing, playing the two big guild leaders of District 4 in circles. You're slandering people. Right now, Hui Maui Zhao's expression became even more unsightly. Indeed, she and Lone Wolf had a very good relationship for a period of time. Because she was afraid that Yi Tian would misunderstand, she kept it from Yi Tian. And at that time, when Lone Wolf issued a kill order, everyone in the district thought that it was because he hated Su Chung Wanyu because of love. No one knew the inside story. Slandering people? Seeing Hui Maui Xiao put on an innocent and pitiful appearance, Suwon faintly smiled. Do you want me to find Lone Wolf to confront him now? At that time, when I killed you for the second time, he was by your side. Because it happened suddenly at that time, he didn't have time to stop me, that's all. Speaking till here, Suwon paused a bit because Wu Fing already sent her a message telling her that Shirtyan's people were about to arrive. Moreover, someone already informed Di Shirtian who was offline. Perhaps, in another 2 minutes, Di Shirtian will be online. Hui Maui Xiao, saying more is useless. Today, I'm only taking revenge for myself. If you're not convinced, you can go find your man and tell him to come and kill me again. I, Su Chungwon Yu, will be waiting. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.